All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 7 of Top End Talks, presented by FTF Canada with myself, Adam Jones, and my co-host, Kwame Owua. Seventh episode today. We have a pretty awesome interview coming up at the tail end of this with a Canadian international player who just played at the World Cup. So super excited to get his insight on that. And we'll jump in right from there, Kwame. Obviously, you weren't on the World Cup recap that I did with Julian. First, going into the new year now, just your off the top of your head, like what stood out for you at the World Cup?
Thank you, Adam, first and foremost. Secondly, I just want to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone. Obviously, if you're watching, hopefully you had a safe and wonderful Christmas. I know some of us are getting old, we don't get gifts, but sometimes giving gifts is a lot better than getting gifts. So hope you guys enjoyed the holidays. And yeah, going back into the World Cup, the thing that stood out to me the most is that as the tournament went on, we realized that Canada was in the group of death. I never really thought about it. I did think like Canada was in a tough group, but I also thought Portugal, Ghana, and Uruguay was a tough group, and South Korea. I thought that would be a group of death. It was until the last game, like where it was this deciding factor, was who was going to finish second. But as the tournament went on, and you seen what Morocco was doing to teams, and you seen what Croatia was doing, you're like, damn, Canada really were. And then Belgium is just Belgium. Even though they didn't perform well, they still had on paper they're still one of the best teams in the world. Yeah, they were in a group of death. And to be fair, for a team's first World Cup, a lot of young guys, half the team MLS guys, they fared well in the World Cup. Now that you look at it in hindsight, like we said, when you see our interview, a lot of people are excited for what the future holds for Canadian soccer.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I think the thing that I took the most from that group is the first game against Belgium was incredible to see it come out and for it to work the way it did. Luckily, they didn't get punished at certain times. Looking back in hindsight as well, it's too bad Lukaku didn't start. They would have got a draw out of that game. You would have missed that chance for sure. Fucking hell. Guy couldn't hit a water if he fell out of a boat.
Hey, that was a good strike by Batshuayi, though.
It was.
On the half volley outside the foot, that's crazy. Like, and that was probably one of their only 1 or 2 chances of the game. It was wild.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like that's what we talked about when we did the recap for that game. It's just those really fine margins, right? Where you're like, okay, can we get cleaner? Can we get cleaner? And it seemed like they were going to in the Croatia game for about 10 minutes, and then again, fine margins. And I think that to me was the biggest wake up call, was the quality that Croatia possessed throughout the pitch. And it wasn't like they were all Luka Modric's. There's a lot of players in that team that play in the Croatian league, like a lot. Again, supplemented by the outrageous spine that they had with Kramaric up top, who's at AC Milan. And then you've got, obviously, Brozovic at Inter, Kovacic at Chelsea, Modric at Real Madrid. And then you've got Varadol at RB Leipzig, who's now on his way to a big club, right?
And even Lovren, he played at the highest level for Liverpool as well. So even though he's not there no more, like experience, yeah.
And so the thing that and then again, just the way that the next game started, you thought, oh my God, but the response from it, that to me was, I looked at that and went, okay, this is awesome. For me personally, like I looked at just the response from the group and how they went at Morocco, they didn't back down. It was fantastic, man. Like I think the one thing that no one could question was their spirit. In hindsight, I question a lot of John Herdman's tactics because I don't understand. For me personally, in a game like that, when you play Croatia and you're getting absolutely decimated in midfield, the solution isn't to change personnel. You have to change system. Like you just have to. Like at a certain point, when you play against these teams, you're gonna you can't keep your identity, or else you're gonna get thwacked like you did. And
especially when you're already you're up early. Like, I'm not saying to play a low block or anything like that, but even Croatia against Brazil, they say, you know what, we're gonna let these guys have the ball, and when we win it, we're gonna play forward and try to hit these guys on the counterattack. But like calculated counterattack, not where you just kick the ball and have our guys run up top, but like a calculated counterattack. We had a big guy in Kyle Laryea up top. We had speed on the wings, and that's something he probably could have looked into. I mean, every midfield in the World Cup got bossed by Kovacic and those guys. So you getting bossed in the midfield, it's not everyone got it. Like it wasn't. It's like, you know what I mean. So it's not like, oh damn, like Canada was the only team to get bought. Like the game was won in the midfield, and if you give these guys too much time, quality in the field, they're gonna create something. So yeah, I think you just
Exactly.
got to be able to be defensively as a unit, shift as a unit, and have those guys that don't necessarily want to defend. Just do that work, put that work in, and they'll get opportunities.
Well, look at Antoine Griezmann. He
Mm-hmm.
turned into N'Golo Conte in this tournament. Like the amount of times he nicked in and won balls, like he's something else for France, man. He is special. But like the biggest thing, and again, like this is one of the things that I don't, even if they had switched, systems or whatever, and the counterattack didn't really work, I wouldn't really have blamed them, because the way I kind of look at it is this is the way it seemed to me when I watch different levels playing each other. Like when MLS teams play Premier League teams and they're sitting back because they don't want to get pumped, right? When they go forward, they never seem to have the same numbers going forward as Premier League teams do when they attack. Right. And most of it's because they're just not used to playing that system. It's really difficult. It needs to be so calculated that, again, when things go, it's everyone moving at once. So if balls do come out, you have supplementary numbers who aren't necessarily getting all the way forward, but they're in good positions to either slowly attack. Like it's so calculated. So when Croatia do it against Brazil, it makes sense because they're at the end of a cycle, like they are. We're at the beginning of one. So to not try it seems really strange to me. Even like, and again, at the end of the Croatia game, or even the end of the Morocco game, no Jonathan David on the field. I think Kyle got subbed at that point. You're like, your two leading goal scorers are off the pitch. What is going on? You're trying to get a result at the World Cup. Who cares if Morocco win 4-5-1 at that point? If you got effort in the second half and you go for it, gives a shit. Like
it makes sense. It definitely does make sense. And I mean, the Morocco game, it was a tough one. It was like a hit or miss because Morocco were playing with so much spirit. And from the beginning of the tournament, I was like, yo, Morocco's playing on home soil.
Yeah.
Like,
you said that so many times.
Yeah. I'm like, bro, yeah, they're African, but they also have the Arab, like the Arabic as well. So it's like, these guys are at home. Like the climate, everything is like, they're used to this. Like, that's why their fans were like the whole stadium. They were taking up the whole stadium. So like, I understood why like the Morocco game, like I'm not saying Croatia is not better, but like the Morocco game was definitely a chance like for Canada to really test themselves. Because yeah, they don't have the same quality as Croatia, but like the energy would have probably been the same. Croatia doesn't play that fast-paced tempo football like Canada does. Morocco does, right? So
yeah,
those guys, Croatia
on paper,
and Belgium,
on paper, it's kind of a good head-to-head matchup.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And
they
did.
Just went all out.
To be fair, they tried to, I guess, but again, it's like the substitutions where it's like, and that's the biggest thing for me, man. My biggest takeaway is I think John Herman's done an incredible job to get to where he is. For the national team program to take the next step, you need to bring in someone who tactically can adapt and change like that, because you could kind of tell even in qualifying, they didn't change system until he told Borjan to go down. Every single time Borjan went down, they changed system. So it's something about a communication thing where you can't get it across, or the guys aren't listening. Again, beginning of a cycle.
I think he probably just believes in the guys so much that he doesn't want to take anything away from them. And this last game, he probably was like, you know what? Let me give some guys minutes that like never had any minutes in the World Cup.
I don't even think he did that though. I think he just kept bringing on the same guys.
Oh, really?
Which again, yeah, it was just the same guys. Which again, like I was kind of looking at it going, okay. And again, that is a horrible situation to be in. It's your last game. You're looking for your first point at a World Cup. You just got smacked by Croatia. Obviously looking for a good response. You want to get as many guys in, especially for the next cycle.
At that time,
Canada
was out, right?
Yeah, they were already out.
Yeah, already out. Okay.
They were already out. So, but again, though, you're still looking for your first point at a World Cup. You notched off first goal. Can you get your first point and your first win? Right. So it's really difficult to sit there and go, yeah, okay, who hasn't played? These 7 guys, 7 new players.
It doesn't really work like that. Yeah,
that's really difficult, man. Like even to go, you know what? We'll put 4 of them in, and then those 3 will be 3 of the 5 subs. Like if it goes south real quick, it could. And again, this World Cup showed if it goes south quick, it can go south really fucking quick with a couple massive score lines, right? So I don't envy the situation being in that one. It sucks, and it sucks for the guys who didn't get to play. Because again, especially the younger guys who were at the end, they're the ones we're kind of looking at to make the leap in 4 years. And to be there's awesome, but also you're like, oh, I really wish that they could have got some, so they would have at least experienced what it was like standing in the lineup, coming on the field in front of that crowd. But it is what it is. I just think and again, I'm not saying you replace him with someone who's the same level. I think you have to the US took a leap when they went out and got Jurgen Klinsmann. Yeah, he did shady shit at the end of it, but you need to go out and you need to get someone like that who will come in and has a different.
Before then, they had Bob Bradley, 2010, right?
Yeah, and Bob Bradley did a good job.
He did a good job.
But again, though, I don't think you would replace John Herman with Bob Bradley. I don't see that. I don't see how that would necessarily benefit the group. That's what I'm saying. I think when you replace him, you need to go and get. There you go. He's gonna live in Vancouver, buddy. That's where he lives in Vancouver in the summers.
Yeah, I know.
He's out on the West Coast.
And I got two more things on the World Cup that I really noticed. One, France is gonna be good for a really long time. Also,
fuck me. What
France
a joke.
Gonna be good for a really good time, for a really long time. And to be fair, I'm not trying to make this a racial thing. But hey, they started playing well when they took all the white dudes off. That's all I'm saying. They put on a front four of all black guys and said, yo, we're tired of this. Just they started launching the ball, Thuram flick on, and Mbappe bring it down 1-2. What's the guy's name? Tall guy. He missed at the end with Emi Martinez with the big save.
Oh, I can't remember. He's got two last names. It's a hyphenated last name. I can't remember his name now.
Kulani or something like that. And then he had Kingsley Coleman on the right. I said, these guys are playing a 4-2-4. With Chimeni and Rabiot's still on the field. I'll give him that. Rabiot's still on the field. And then they play a whole back line of black people. I was like, yup, this is a black team right now. They're going straight athleticism. Argentina
Did Lucas Hernandez come off?
Lucas Hernandez came off. They put on Camavinga.
Right.
Yeah, Camavinga, Upamecano, Varane, and Kunde.
Yeah.
And then they had Chimeni, Rabiot, and then they had the four black men. I was like, yo, these guys are not playing games no more. It's launching it, yo. But the launching tactic worked. The Netherlands got 2 goals out of it too.
It was surprising they didn't revert to that earlier with Giroud.
Giroud can't. The thing is, Giroud, yeah, you can launch it, but he can't run in behind either. So it didn't really matter where the.
You would need someone else beside him. You would need someone to stay up there with him to kind of run onto it. So
it really didn't matter where the ball went. They just had so much pace that any one of those 4 were gonna get it. That's it. And then when they put Mbappe 9, it's like, damn, Argentina had to drop a little bit because they didn't want to concede space behind him. So then you have other guys running through the midfield, and then Argentina's midfielders got tired because they put in such a shift at the World Cup. In 6 games, DePaul had 70 miles ran. I'm like, yo, dog,
that's absurd.
It's actually absurd, bro.
Messi's bodyguard, buddy.
Yeah, bro, it works.
Yeah.
Now Messi official goal debate over.
He completed. He's won everything, man. There's nothing else. There really is nothing else for him to do. It's just basically to take a victory lap for the rest of his career because it doesn't matter. And the craziest thing too, is looking at how good Mbappe and Haaland and their numbers are. They're not getting fucking close to him and Ronaldo. They're not. It's absurd what those guys did.
It's actually wild. Right now, I seen a crazy stat. Right now, Messi in 49 games in 2022, he has 35 goals, 33 assists.
Yeah,
club country.
And again,
you're thinking yo, that's average. You're like, yo, that's actually wait, what?
What? He wasn't nominated for the Ballon d'Or for 2022.
Oh yeah,
he was not nominated
when Benzema won. Yeah,
and I told you this before. It was this is the 3rd time. So this is kind of predicated why I picked Argentina before. But there's the 3 times Argentina have not won. Their best player was not nominated for the Ballon d'Or. Maradona, that was in '86. He wasn't on the short list. Messi was on the short list this time. I was like, there we go. It's another little premonition coming forward. But insane. His numbers are absolutely insane. Crazy. Absolutely insane.
Mbappe, crazy. He's next up still. He's next up. People came up to me at the FTF event. They're like, yeah, I heard what you said about Mbappe and Haaland. I said, yo, I'm sorry, bro. I'm very sorry. I apologize.
You know what my argument would have been?
What?
This is what my argument is. Okay. Who would you take as a 9, Haaland or Mbappe?
Oh, you take it, Haaland, yeah.
Yeah. As a wing. So okay.
But who do you start? Who do you start your team with?
Haaland.
Wow.
Because you want to know why?
Because
Mbappe is gonna play out wide. He's not gonna play up as a 9, and we know that because the way he's
he said
acting,
that.
and he's the third choice winger on his own team right now. Mind you, he's got Messi and Neymar ahead of him, but he's still the third choice. That's what I said to other. That's what I said, and I was like, you can like again. I think like for what he's fucking incredible, man. He's incredible. But we've also seen like it's like the whole Messi Ronaldo debate. It's like who are you taking, this ridiculous player or this other ridiculous player?
Ridiculous player. Actually, doesn't really matter. Just both gonna be ridiculous.
It just depends on what you're looking for from.
Depends on what kind of playing style you're gonna play too.
Depends on what type of playing style you're gonna play, and it depends on where you're looking to, who you're looking to focus on, right? Like
that does make sense.
It's just it's a preference thing. No one's wrong. I get that everyone's looking at. Oh, look at the World Cup Mbappe had. Holland's never gonna have a World Cup like that because he's Norwegian.
Yeah,
like it is what it is.
That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. That's another thing. Like, there's a couple guys that are ballers, but their countries are just not the best countries, and it's like, damn, that's so unfortunate. But it is what it is. The new FIFA rankings came out though too. How do you feel about Brazil still being at number 1?
I mean, I don't understand how you don't win the world. If you win the World Cup, you're not the best team in the world. Like,
and you beat that same team in the Copa America final.
Yeah, I get that Brazil ran the table in qualifying and they beat Argentina a couple of times and stuff. I get that.
Oh, qualifying? Qualifying they tied twice.
Oh, did they? Okay. Well, I think
it's because they smoked everybody else, like friendlies and everything.
I think they didn't lose a game. Bullshit. Those rankings are bullshit. Yeah, but Argentina hasn't lost a game.
Until
they've lost one game in 45 or something now, like that. Like, it's stupid. So I don't pay much attention to that. The only thing I do pay attention to, and this is what was super key for Canada, is that they stayed. I think they stayed below the threshold. But up into if you drop below a certain amount, all of a sudden it becomes more difficult to get a work visa for international players.
They dropped out of this top 50, bro. They dropped
out of 50. Dropped to 52, right?
52, yeah.
Which again, I still don't understand how they drop out of if they're at the World Cup. The top 32 teams.
I was actually looking at that too. It was like, damn, how does that make sense? He lost to 2 World Cup semifinalists, and he lost to the number 2 team in the world. Yeah, that shit's bullshit.
I don't get it. So that sucks. That really fucking sucks. But again, I think it's like this. Again, I think there's an education piece that needs to come to a lot of people where, again, this sucks because it's for our Canadian internationals that now becomes more difficult for our international first team players or even our youth team players now. It becomes really difficult for them to be able to get visas. But this idea that we need to send more players overseas, that you fucking can't. You can't. If they're under the age of 16, they need a legal guardian there. So unless your family's willing to move,
and this new generation of kids though too get homesick in
they're not
2
fucking
seconds.
Going. No chance.
They're not built for that. If MLS team comes to them and says, "Yo, we'll give you 90,000 a year," they'll be like, "Yeah, you know what? I'll stay home, live at home, not play at all, and just chill."
And so that's kind of that right there though. And this is the big worry for me going forward. Because I'm not honestly, like, Mexico's they're starting to go through a downtime. So you're like, okay, there's a chance there. But if you look at that US team, where a lot of those young kids have gone and they've grafted in the championship, they've grafted in Austria. If you look at Brandon Aronson went to Austria. They went to these other leagues. They went to Germany. They went and they played at lower level teams and they grafted. Fucking Tyler Adams is a stud. And he's playing on a team that
but we're talking about US guys.
And he might get relegated. Like, he might get relegated with Leeds this year, and he's going to stay at a high level because he was fucking phenomenal in that tournament, man. He was very good. So it's like, okay, well, it's like what Stefan Eustáquio was able to do. You know what I mean? We need more guys to go and graft and do that. But again, it's the whole idea. Like you said, I'll stay at home.
That's what kind of sucks about living in a good country.
I mean? Yeah.
We just have everything here. It's hard to leave. If you can make a good living, it's like, bro, why would I leave comfort? You know what I mean? I get it, but then I don't get it. I think we just come from a generation where, and I was talking to Chris Danko about it yesterday at the Boxing Day event. I was like, we had our parents where like everything was just grind. I need to save, build a family, build a house, all that stuff. Us, our generation is like, yo, I need to follow my dreams. Like, I want to work hard to follow my passions. Like, school's always going to be there. Like, our parents set us up to go follow our passions. This next generation, bro, oh man, yo, it's like tough men create easy times create like weak men, and then weak men create hard times. It's like, damn, that's how it just keeps going, bro. So it's like, fam, like we were grinding, and like we know how it feels to actually chase after something that you want and grind in that aspect. Our parents know how to grind like through the working aspect and like building a family like the old school traditional way. Now these new kids, it's like, it's just comfort. And then they're gonna build comfort. And then when they have kids, what are they like? Who are they gonna look up to? So I don't know. I mean, Canada dropping to 52, which you said that's kind of bullshit. So there's a lot of things that go into it, but we don't even have to worry about that. I think Canada should be fine. And it's just, I think it's just the quality of CONCACAF too. Like we don't play against any high quality
You've got
team. But
Mexico
now that we
and the
made,
US.
now that we made a name for ourselves, I'm sure we're gonna be able to get better friendlies.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. And so that's kind of one of the things that you look at when you look at like prize money. You're like, okay, CSA, here we go. Like it's time now to start bundling this stuff properly, right?
Bringing out the money.
Start breaking it out and make sure. And again, I think this one you got to put a lot. You have to put a lot towards the foundational pieces because that's the thing that's cracked. And we'll get into stuff like that because I think there's a bigger discussion to be had about the foundation in this country with regards to the CPL and the new women's league, which we'll talk about in a sec. But again, you know, like it's really exciting to see some of these young guys up against, you know, the likes of Jude Bellingham and Hakimi, and in the same tournament as them. Like Chouameni at France is fucking incredible, man. Oh my God, that guy is unreal.
Ballers. First World Cup, started every game, covered every blade of grass. Yeah, you got to give those guys credit. And I was gonna say before we move on, like, where would you rank this World Cup out of all the World Cups that you've watched? From the ones that I can remember, I can't really remember 2002 like that. I think I only watched the final, and I have the 1998 final like recorded on VCR. But I used to watch that all the time.
On VHS, the old school.
Bro. I used to watch that all the time when I was a kid. Zidane 2 headers, bro. I was like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
3-0 in the final. I can't really remember 2002, but honestly, I think this World Cup was second to 2010. But that's just my sentimental
2010?
value.
I had it over 2010. I had 2006 and 2014 over it.
You have 2006 and 2014 over what?
2014 in Brazil. I thought as a tournament, I thought like the whole scale of the tournament in 2014 was fucking incredible, with Spain getting slapped twice in the group, defending champs, slapped.
What was it? By Costa Rica and Chile and Netherlands.
And then Costa Rica, Keylor Navas' coming out party where he made all those saves. It was just I thought 2014 was something special, man. England sucked as per usual, although I think there's a lot more to look forward to from them in the next couple years.
They went into 2018. They went to the semifinals. Then they went to Euro final.
Yep.
Then they went to the quarterfinal.
This year, I think, like, and again, like, I mean, I'm not going to get into it. I thought they were the better team on the day, but they didn't deserve to win.
Yeah.
Like it was, and again, I thought whoever won that game was going to the final, and they were. I had whoever won that game losing to Argentina anyway. So France going all the way didn't surprise me because of how good and young they are. So I think the European teams, it's interesting. But you had Germany slapping Brazil.
Oh, 7-1.
7-1 in the semifinal.
That's what I'm.
But that Brazil, was James Rodriguez in that tournament came out. It was.
There's a lot of guys that. Okay, 2014, that's when everybody was in their prime. Like all the guys that we look up to were in their prime. Messi was in their Neymar was in their prime. Di Maria, like Ronaldo. Everyone was like in their
that prime. German team had Schweinsteiger.
The German Schweinsteiger.
Like it was.
It was nice. Like everybody was nice. And Ozil, like guys were in their prime.
That was Belgium's coming out too. That was their first year because the US took them all the way to extra time. Like it was a good one. And then 2006 for me with Italy, that was Wayne Rooney versus Ronaldo with the wink. That got him sent off and stuff.
And then the Zidane headbutt.
Zidane headbutt, like
Zidane masterclass against Brazil too, quarterfinals. Oh man,
Just the
at
whole tournament, man.
34, yeah,
It was the whole tournament. He was unbelievable the entire
unbelievable.
tournament.
Yeah, him and Messi are the only ones to do it at that age, yo. Dancing on people. I said, damn, bro.
Yeah.
The only reason why I said 2010 because of the sentiment, the first ever World Cup in Africa.
Yep.
Like at that point, that's when everybody even like the
You know
new
what ruined
song.
it? You know what ruined it?
What,
The fucking vuvuzelas, man. If you got rid of
bro?
those,
I think that's what made it so hype because everyone, even in North America, started like blowing these horns, these vuvuzelas. Like it was a party all the time. And then the goals because of the Jabulani balls, it's getting spanked in like
yeah. Oh,
Spain.
Uruguay.
Yeah, Uruguay,
Suarez, Diego
Suarez
Forlan.
handball, Ghana going to the quarterfinals. Like I was like, for me, that was like this an emotional one. I was like, damn. I was in high school. I was like, ooh, yo, like Ghana can go to like we were cooking. US doing well. I was like, yo, everybody's like, the goals were just sick. The shoe game was sick. The Addy Zeros that time.
Oh yeah.
Aryan Robin and the Mets were cooking. I was like, nah, these like that World Cup. That's when Messi came fresh off of the Champions League against Man U. Diego Maradona was coaching Argentina.
Yeah, no, that was the one after. So that was Inter one. Inter beat Bayern Munich that year.
Bayern Munich. Yeah.
They did the treble.
Bro,
For me
Oslo
though,
was coming out party.
2006 was the 2006 had the best ball though.
Yeah,
That was the
2006 had the
very
best. I always
best
say
ball.
that.
And actually
2006.
the boots you had for Nike, you had the Vapor 3s, who was all solid color with just the heel with the different
with the
one.
heel, the different color. Yeah, Brazilian Ronaldo had those, the yellow with the
yellow
green
and
at the back.
Yeah. And then you had for the Adidas Prez where they had like the 8 different colorways, the old leather ones. That was fucking sick.
Yeah, I think
forget.
just because of like the emotional side of it, like I like.
Yeah, I get that.
That's probably the only reason why. Like Gano, first time, Kevin Prince, Boateng. That's when all those mans got big moves. Like John went to the Premier League for Sunderland. First game out the Premier League, scored 2 goals. Like I was like, this guy balling, bro.
Yeah, no, it again, Spain winning too, starting like
my screen. Yeah, starting a dynasty. That was the middle of their dynasty, 2008, 2010,
middle,
2012.
Yep, it was right in the middle.
And then they got boxed in 2014. That's it. Everybody's like, oh, that's done.
Yeah, and now it looks like, oh, great, they just replaced Xavi and Iniesta with Gavi and Pedri. Fucking great.
Bro, that shit was crazy. But yeah, I was just asking, like, what are your favorite World Cup moments, like, or favorite World Cups? I don't think that shit would have happened to Brazil if Neymar and Thiago Silva were playing. Neymar got that back injury against Colombia, and Thiago Silva had the yellow cards. I mean, they probably still would have lost, but they don't get 7. Like,
you should never get 7 though. That's pretty tragic.
Bro, what happened to David Luiz after that game? Never heard of him again.
Well, he did. He just played at Arsenal and
did the same thing.
Didn't quite resurrect his career the way everyone thought.
That's what I mean, bro. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
All right. So now onto the women's league.
Yeah, man. It's massive news. Obviously, like professional women's league coming in 2025. So there's a ton of work to do from now until then because we've only got 2 teams confirmed, and I know they want to get to 8, which is the same number as the CPL. They've got 2 main sponsors right now, which is great. And so it's awesome. It's fucking great.
Yeah, bro. I mean, the CPL was something that started probably. I remember people started talking to me about it. I think in 2017. Like we always knew there was something coming to Canada, but we didn't know where and how many teams. But it is a process. I think people should have patience when it does start, and it's something definitely that's tough for people to invest in because we don't know the landscape of women's soccer in Canada. A lot of our best women's players play overseas or play in the American League, whereas like
which for me needs to continue.
Yeah,
like
100%. It's like even some of our best players, our best Canadian players, play overseas or in the MLS. But because the MLS has Canadian teams, we always like hold that dear to our hearts. But it's still an American league at the end of the day. So I mean, I think we should have patience. Like we shouldn't expect the quality to be like NWSL. But it's kind of good that we have the backing of players like Christine Sinclair and stuff like that, the GOAT, like, because that means a lot. I don't think when the CPL was starting, we had the backing, like people outright coming out saying like, yeah, we need to start a Canadian league from like our best international players or our best face of like men's
No, it's
national team.
true.
You know
That's
what I
true.
mean?
You didn't have a
Yeah.
Tebow, you didn't have Fonzie, you
We
didn't
didn't
have
have a team.
JD coming out and saying that stuff, right?
We didn't have like those guys are younger because at that time, like when it was when it was in the process, but these guys are saying it 3 years before the thought even came. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
we didn't have the Rosario saying, "Yo, we need to start a Canadian league," or Tebow saying we need to start a Canadian league. Or
True.
maybe they have, but I haven't seen it.
It wasn't
So
as outward.
outward, like Christine Sinclair was putting pressure on these guys.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so it
Yeah.
changes the whole ball, it changes the whole landscape, it changes the ball game landscape when someone of that stature says something. It's like, okay, all right, yo, we gotta get things moving. And now like you're seeing what happens when like a Joel Waterman situation. You're like, damn, okay. Like we could find a diamond in the rough somewhere in Canada.
Lucas
Alfonso
McNaughton too,
too.
man. Lucas was
Lucas
same thing.
McNaughton. Yeah, you
So
could find a diamond in the rough.
it's great. The only thing that I think what you said with patience is so key. Because
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of the same thing as CPL, where you're like, I have no idea what's coming out of the Halifax market. I have no idea what's coming over the Winnipeg market. Are they going to go after local youth, the local players? How many of them are going to sign? If they do go after some really good local ones, and they go, I got a full-time job. I'm not giving that up to play for that much money. You know what I mean? So there's going to have to be a lot of patience from the market itself. But again, the other thing that I really don't want to see happen is I don't want to see this discouragement of going to the NCAA because
the NCAA is dying.
It dying
on the men's side. I mean,
yeah.
On the men's side, yeah, the men's side, I don't think there's gonna
You're
there's still
definitely
gonna be a
losing some
draft.
players. You are losing
Yeah.
some players, but I think like just on like from a development standpoint, where
Oh yeah.
if a player is not ready to jump in at 17 or 18 years old,
Yeah.
they need to go develop somewhere to keep playing. And the idea is like,
100%.
you know what I mean? Like the idea can't continuously be let's play girls against women. Because it's the same thing when you play boys against men. Well, if that's all you do, then the more athletic boys are the only ones who are going to be able to keep up. And the less athletic ones who might have the potential to play longer and have a better career don't get to play because they can't keep up. They need to go develop. They need to go develop some athleticism. They need time to catch up. You know what I mean? Which is what U Sports, which now with the CPL draft's great, and what the NCAA provided. So again, it's this idea that can't be a pathway that we now ultimately discourage, which is also difficult because you need to supplement the league with players.
Hey,
so,
I've seen some League One Ontario women's like highlights, and some of these girls are good, bro. But
yeah, they played at a really high. They played at a really high level.
The benefit of like CPL for people that still want to go to NCAA or still want, you can still get a developmental contract. So you can play until you figure out, or you can play until you have to go to school, or you can play in the women's league to like, that's like basically like your preseason. So you can go back into the NCAA and then ball out because you're already fit. You can still get the perks of going like weightlifting, all that stuff, like independence, like learn off the field stuff that you need. And then you can still come back and still compete.
Which you hope is what they're going to carry over too, right?
Yeah.
Like that would be the idea of going like, this is a really smart. Well, you can do it up until you have to commit to school. I don't think in the NCAA you can't come back in between and play because you're technically at school for your spring season. Right. So, but like before that, you can go, you can take a gap year, you can go sign a developmental deal, and then you can decide to go, which is awesome. So you would think and hope that they would do something similar because again, that's just kind of expanding the pathway and expanding kind of that foundational piece.
And they have the perk of not having a pandemic for 2 years, bro.
Yeah.
Between.
Hey man, like look when they're starting though. It's pretty.
Bro.
It's the timing too. 2025.
Yeah.
The
clean right before the World Cup.
There will never be more hype about the sport in this country, ever. Except until that year leading up. Like it's gonna be fucking incredible. Yeah. So all of that stuff is awesome. It's looking really great. And the one thing that I would say to all of those, every single one, I think the Whitecaps have to do a fucking really good job. They need to do a good job of this because they've already done, they've fucked this up on the guys' side so much already. But all of them do. And I think there's a number of CPL teams that need to do this better. They need to identify with their community and they need to fucking become ingrained in that community. Like I saw
now there's a CPL team in Vancouver. So like they're going to be fighting for fans. So what happens then?
So you have the Whitecaps men's, you have Vancouver FC, and you have Pacific on the island. There's 3 men's teams, right?
Vancouver 2 for an MLS Next Pro.
That one too. Like there's 4. And then apparently there's Kelowna coming into the CPL too, but that's way north. Like they're not competing for fans with that one. Even the island, you're not really competing. But when you look at those things though, man, like again, sports are local. Like more Canadians tune in to watch Canada play Croatia than the World Cup final in Canada.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
You need to fucking go, like, again, off the back of Belgium, the hype's so big. Okay, here we go. If you don't identify with your community, you're fucked. Because that's why does junior hockey work? Because they're in small towns where that's what the community is. That's what the town have. Right.
And there's a lot of people from that town that play there.
That's the junior team. That's who they want to play for one day. They might not get drafted there, but maybe they get to come back to that barn and play against them. Like there's all of that.
I think that's a hype. I think that's a hype about like Forge, TFC, York United, because like everyone
York are kind of in tough because again, like they're competing directly against TFC.
Yes, TFC.
Like,
but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, 100%.
I'm not talking about fans. I'm talking about like everyone on those teams are from the area. So like in general, you're always gonna have that person, one of the guys on it. Let's say there's 10 guys on the team. You're always gonna have their families at the game. You're always gonna have their friends and their friends of a friends at a game. So that's like let's say your family's 5 people. You had 3 people to eat, bro. That's what 15 people each, man. So like obviously you want like thousands and thousands of supporters, but at least you're always gonna get a certain amount of people because this person's from the community. And them themselves can spread the word. Oh, you want to come to my game? You want to come to my game? Trying to see, you have Richie, you have Oso, you have all these guys, Noble, all these guys that are local guys that are playing. And then it's like, okay, my friend lives down the street. My friend that lives down the street, he plays at Beam. I'm going to go watch. You guys want to pull up? Like TFC's ingrained in the community. I think York needs to do that too.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And that's actually
it's
the
tough,
biggest, it is difficult. It is difficult going up higher, but that's like the biggest complaint about the Whitecaps. There's no fucking Canadians on there. And if they are, they're not from BC.
They're not from BC.
They're not from BC. We talked to Joel. Joel didn't get selected. Not only that, they didn't even identify him as a center back. Like they're so far outside the community right now. It is insane. And people are tired of it. People don't go watch. You know? And so like that would be
such a big stadium. I'm like, damn.
That would be the idea, right? That if you have all these women's teams, you have hopefully 8 of them across the country. You're going into your community and you're finding players. But again, this is kind of this is like this double-edged sword that kind of CPL is going through right now, where you've had your first couple of years, you've survived, which is great. All right, expansion team comes in. That team is basically going, okay, who's getting released? Like they're not looking in local leagues anymore. Partly because, well, the best players from those local leagues were just taken out. So the standard is dropped across them.
What do you mean the local leagues?
So like if you look at League One Ontario, the standard now compared to pre-CPL, it is drastically lower because the best players have been taken out, which they should have been. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
But it's the same thing.
But that's like everywhere though.
Exactly. No, that's what I'm saying.
We just don't have enough people.
So exactly. So that's what I'm saying is that at the start right now, you're like, oh my God. So how can any young local kid come up and play in this league where they're like, oh, well, the standard's not what it was. So now it's just like this idea where, okay, well, how much scouting are these teams gonna do where they can go and bring in a kid and go, okay, we think that they have these qualities that we want to bring in and see with our group. You know what I mean? Because at a certain point, you have to bring in some local kids. You have to. But again, it's a little bit of a leap of faith for sure. It always is going to be. But it's that double-edged sword where now all of a sudden, if you take a bunch of women out of these female leagues, What's the state of the league after
Those,
that?
yeah, League on
So
Ontario
it's
for women is probably not going to be that good. All that,
well,
yeah,
it can't if you take all the best players
yeah. The
out.
best players, yeah.
Like, so that's kind
But
of
that
this
just
like
creates room for the younger women coming up, though.
exactly. It does
It's
create
gonna
room
come
for
down to
them. But again, like here's
it's
the
gonna
thing
come
though,
down to scouting, though. It's gonna really come down to scouting.
comes down to
Really
scouting. But
come down to
again,
scouting.
at what point? And again, this is where the CPL now is. CPL is now basically looking around, going, "This is the player pool. Who gets released? That's who we're taking." Like there needs to be some sort of expansion in that. And again, I don't, they're obviously they're gonna miss players, but there's also players where they might be like, I don't think they'll take the contract we're gonna offer. There's
I
that
think
side of it. There's a lot of different variables that go into it, but it's like this,
100%.
it's this struggle that comes almost immediately after, where you're like,
After.
okay, now let's expand the player pool. But you're like, oh, well, you have to expand locally. So you have to, you can only expand it locally. Like no one from Vancouver is going to go, we're going to go look after all these players are taken. We're going to go look in the Winnipeg local league. Like, well, presumably the best players have been taken out, or the best players who are available to be taken out have been taken out. So it's this kind of difficult thing where, again, you'd hope that they would be regionalized like that, where they would specifically look at their region, go, okay, who can we find in these leagues that we can give a chance to?
Yeah, I just feel like women and men, obviously, because the women's league starting in 2025, we just don't have enough people playing soccer.
No.
Because if you think about our best players, don't play in our leagues. So and it makes sense why they don't play in our leagues. So like you're going for like, no offense, the crumbs, but it's like if you go to a person that's coming out of NCAA, top player like for a Canadian footballer in NCAA, and he's on to get an MLS contract, he's gonna look at the CPL, or even she can't get an NWSL contract. She's gonna look at the new women's league. Like, I might as well just work rather than going to go play soccer, because you still have to make a living at the end of the day. Yeah. So that's where it's like it might be an ego thing on the player, but it's also a life decision that you have to make, and like teams have to accept. So it's like, at what point do you just, if your contracts are going to be low, at what point do you just have to lower the standard of the league to let the younger guys play the bigger player pool, or do you get bigger investors to up the salary cap to bring some of the better players back?
But what's it going to cost to get those bigger investors? Like that's the other side of it. Like, how do you attract them without a product?
Business,
so
man.
It's
hey, man.
Like if the product's not there, they're not going to invest the money. If the viewership's not there, they're not going to invest the money. So it's the brand new league.
It goes in a circle.
It does. It does.
It goes
It
around
just keeps
in a
going,
circle.
man. It's cyclical, right? So it's one of those things where, again, like you said, patience is going to be the most key. That's going to be super key. And obviously this is a phenomenal development for player pathway in Canada. But like the CPL, and I've argued this before, this professional women's league is painting over the crack of what the main issue in this country is. And that's the fact that there's a foundational massive crack that we have a select number of people who basically select youth national teams. It's the same on the boys and the women's. You have the Whitecaps Rex, you have NDC Ontario, NDC Quebec, and then the rest, all the other Rex programs. But you're only a handful of people. Like, they can't bat 1,000.
No,
they can't.
You got to send people out there, bro.
And that's the thing, is that and again, on the boys side, same thing. You have the Whitecaps, you have TFC, you have Montreal. That's literally it on the boys. You're relying on 3 subjective opinions. And so it's this thing, like, that is where money needs to be fucking invested heavily, is understand. And again, it's this idea, like, I don't know how much what TFC and Montreal are like with this, but the Whitecaps, the second they take a kid out of BCSPL or a team in BC, it is basically, go fuck yourself. You don't know what you're talking about. We know what we're doing. And they spit them back out in 3 years. The kid's broken. Not even close to the
because
player he
young.
was, because they're young. And it's like, yeah, well, he wasn't good enough. And then they never get another shot. And it's like, you guys could have come to us and asked about the actual kid and who he is. You saw him as a player. We know him as a person. Like, we could have helped you kind of, like, it's this idea that the second they get taken, it's, you don't know what you're talking about anymore. We're the experts. And it's like, why isn't this like
everybody acts like their shit don't stink, bro. It happens at happens at the highest level, and it's a North American thing.
We're also trying to get the same goal though. Like I get that they're the highest level. Again, like
it's a North American thing.
In this position now though, where I'm, our team's about to have kids taken away. It's like, no, you guys should go. It's a higher level. It's a better environment. Go. We're here to support you. And again, though, why is it, again, that's the question I asked, though, until they start playing meaningful fucking games, why aren't the Whitecaps there, or the TFC or Montreal, whoever they are? And again, I think it's different out east. It's like this in the West, though, where they get taken at U14. They don't play meaningful games till U16. What are they doing for fucking 2 years? There's no league. Nah. There's no league. There's no tournaments to play. Like, there's nothing to win. Like, there's so much intrinsic development that needs to come that they don't get. They just train all the time.
It's most definitely different in the East Coast because, like, when you're in the academy for TFC, at least they play in League One Ontario. You know what I mean?
So which is good, but again,
it's good until but then they go. But then they go to like the G. But the thing is, when you're getting I feel like TFC was always like, let's say your head coach was the assistant coach of the next team, and then your assistant coach, you know what I mean? Then your assistant coach, your head coach of that team was an assistant coach to the next. You know what I mean? So there's always a link to the first team. So like those guys, and like obviously you can't tell a kid to have passion, bro. If they want to play, they want to play. There's only so much you can do for a guy. Like that's why I said our generation is different. Like we would miss everything just to go to practice. We would miss prom, this practice.
Oh yeah, I never went to any of that shit.
I'm not even talking about games, bro. I'm talking about practice. Like if I can't get I'm taking the bus, hour and a half. Like it's a whole different ballgame. So you can't really like try to give your mentality to these guys because like some of these guys just don't want it. They just do it because they're good at it and because their parents want them to do it.
Exactly. I think like that's kind of the biggest difference though, is I think part of it parenting does play a pretty big part into it. But in saying that though, like for me, like the biggest thing that if there's nothing for the kids to achieve, like if there's no, what's the goal? What's the goal of the team? Yeah.
That's the end
of the season. What's the end goal?
And then what's the end goal of the player? Because that's like this is everybody's mentality at the same level. Like, okay, what do you want to achieve and how are you going to achieve it? If I'm playing left back, okay, I want to get a Division I scholarship. How am I going to do that? By getting an assist. If I get assists, my striker scores. He gets a D1 look. You know what I mean? And that's why I like Sigma, because everyone had the same mentality. We're all trying to go to the same place to get to the next level. How am I going to do that? How am I going to make? Okay, if I get good crosses in, Kyle's going to score. He's going to get looks. I'm going to get looks. So who's going to give him the ball? That's just how it goes. If Richie's making runs down the middle, he's dribbling guys, getting assists, scoring goals. It just looks good for everyone. And our whole starting lineup ended up getting Division I scholarships just because everybody was on the same page. We're like, bro, we're not trying to take from each other, and we care about this game. Like, if you see the commitment between everyone on your team, like if the individual goal meets the collective goal, then something's gonna happen. But that comes from the coach too.
Yeah, but also like if you're the coach at TFC, the Whitecaps from Montreal, and a kid doesn't have that mentality, why the fuck are you taking
most of the time they just
But that's the thing though. That's because there's a disconnect, and they don't actually know who the fucking kids are as kids, and that comes down.
And they're a kid. They forget that they're a kid.
They're not doing their fucking job.
They forget that they are kids, bro. Like kids. I was a kid too. Like the emotional roller coaster, bro.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like
shit about your environment, your environment. Practice, you're upset.
Yeah, exactly. Like the environment might not be right for you at 14. That's fine. It might be right for you at 17 though, and it might be really fucking right for you at 17, where now you've developed enough as a person. Like that's the part that for me, like again, like everything's way too black and white. And again, I can't speak for the East. I can only speak for the West.
No, I go. It's around. It's like the same.
It's tragic.
But we just play a lot more games though, because there's so many people in a concentrated area. Like you can have friendlies. Like you can have games in the winter in bubbles. Like we'll play against Vaughan, TFC. Like even though there's no end goal, you're still playing against people that are at your level. So you want to win. Like you don't want to go back to school and the guy that plays on the next team is like, yo, we just whooped you guys yesterday. Like, you know what I mean? It's like a competitiveness in it. So I think that was another thing. Yeah. Like when I talked to Chris Manella, it was one of those. It was like, bro, we all played against each other. Off the field, we're homies, but on the field, we're like, nah, bro. Like, I want the bragging rights.
But that was also kind of the way we were brought. Like, that's also like, this is the transition from like the way Michael Jordan treated
basketball.
his
Yeah,
friends to
yeah,
LeBron.
yeah.
Oh, we're friends. And Michael's like, fuck
Mm-hmm.
you. We're not friends.
No, no,
And that was
exactly.
the thing. Like, it's kind of just that way, different way we were brought up and stuff. But again, like,
Mm-hmm.
I still look at this again from the girls' side of it. Like, the NDC Ontario girls who are 16, 17, they're playing League One women's.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they not playing against girls their own age? Like, when you look at France and Japan, they fucking bopped Canada at the U20s.
Mm-hmm.
Bopped them. It wasn't even
Mm-hmm.
close.
What?
Because
But
our
what?
girls are athletic, and that's they need to learn the technical side of it. There's only some of them
But
have it.
isn't that don't you think that's a coaching error? Like that, I don't think that's them playing against women. Because when
But
I
again, though,
was younger,
if you play against the again though, it depends on what you're looking to do. But it's kind of systemic though. Not one youth national team for the at least on the women that I've watched so far. I watched the U17s and the U20s now. Not one of them, not one team really possesses the ability to genuinely go and keep possession with a purpose. There's no purpose to the possession. And again, part of that is the foundational part where they don't have enough fucking time together. That's a huge part. They don't have enough time together. So again, that's where money needs to go. Money needs to go into that grassroots. So these girls and boys at these youth national team levels who are representing us at fucking World Cups
mm-hmm.
can spend time together and go through drills and do this. But another part of that, there's got to be some sort of an intelligence factor where, okay, the game slowed down a bit. Let's keep the ball. Let's change the rhythm.
That's what
There's
I'm
none of
saying.
that.
Is that not a coaching thing?
But if you're playing against people who are consistently more athletic than you, you're never controlling the pace of a game. If you have a team of boys playing against a team of men who all play at a high, who all played at a higher level, like if you take a team of League One
I don't
Ontario
know.
women who all play D1, and you have a team of girls who are hoping to go D1, what's going to happen? One team's
100%.
controlling
They're
that
just gonna run.
pace.
They're gonna run them into the ground 100%.
And so
But
that's
I feel like it depends on the team you're playing. Cause like when I was at Sigma, we were grade 11, grade 12. And we used to play the U21 OSL Ontario Soccer League and like the men's league. And like we weren't, granted, our team was a special team. I have to get like that is like an anomaly, but like we were controlling the pace of the game because we were athletic enough to keep up, but because we knew exactly what to do with the ball, because we worked on it in training. So what you're saying about spending time together and working on something that like you have to, like we knew when to pass it, where to pass it, because we played with each other for so long. When you work on that, I think that's what you're saying. Like they spend more time together. The ball moves faster than the man. It doesn't matter who you're playing against. Like you can be playing against the most athletic. Like we played against some dudes that have full-time jobs, come in like running gun, have been lifting since who God knows when. And we would bop these guys and they would get so mad. The only thing they could do is hit us. But like by that time, the ball's gone. And we were athletic enough to keep up or to get past these guys and clean on the ball enough to know that, yo, we know what we're doing with the ball. So I think it's a matter of just, brain intelligence, because you have to be able to watch video. You have to be, the coach has to be able to stop the game and give a guy options. You see Pep, like he'll stop the whole drill, talk to one man. He's like, yo, you have this. You know what I mean? So as long as you know you have all those options, when you're in these situations, you know what to do. If the game's moving back and forth transition, you have to have one player on your team to be like, yo, we've been running so much, especially when it's against girls, women your age. It's like, we've been running so much, let's slow it down, let's move the ball. Like, if this guy moves here, if this girl moves here, this is where I'm supposed to be. If this, you know what I mean? I think the intelligence of the game, you have to sit down and do like homework. You have to do schoolwork. As much as everyone hates video, watching yourself play and watching like film, bro, we used to watch 2 hours of film after a 2-hour training session at Forge. And look what Forge has done past 4 years. We play York on a Saturday and we play them next Saturday. We watching film. I'm like, dog, we just played against these guys. But it helps. It helps you like, hey, I made this decision. What's a better decision I could have made? So your concept of them spending time works a lot better rather than them playing people their own age. Because imagine them spending more time together and having that athleticism. Bro, they're smoking these guys. Smoking those teams. Those teams might be more like there's still more technical teams like in the world. There's more technical people in the world. Like you're never gonna be at the level of Brazil and those mans, but like it just ups your level because you have that athleticism. You can move from like, okay, you know what? This passing and receiving things not working, yeah, we're just gonna run them. And then when you play a team that's as athletic as you, you're like, okay, then we're just gonna move the ball. Beat them with your brain.
Yeah, but I think like the flip side of that is though, how many players are going to be able to develop that playing against ones where they can't keep up athletically? You know what I mean? Like when they're that young, if you have players within that system, they're going to learn certain things. Yeah, they're going to learn how to move the ball quicker. They're going to learn
But you gotta lose. You gotta lose. You gotta
no,
die.
100%, 100%, you do.
Yeah.
But again, though,
Those girls that are playing against older
playing an
women,
entire season though, that's the only group that they play against. They never play their own age.
okay,
There's
yeah,
a
that's
huge
true.
advantage. That's what I was saying. You played in your own league, and then you guys went up and played. Like getting the opportunity to go play is fantastic. That's very good. To play the whole season against them, never their own age.
No, we played a whole season, but like on the side, we'll play guys like Vaughn and those guys our own age and stuff like that. Same age, same quality. Like,
but it's different because now all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm learning. I learned how to play at that pace, but now the pace is a little slower. Can I now? It becomes a little bit more holistic though, because now you learn how to dominate. You learn how to change the pace of the game. You learn, okay, now it's about timing more than just keeping up. You know what I mean? Like you can't do it. It's not all one way isn't the right way, and all the other way is not. You need a blend, and that's what there's just
that's what I'm saying. Is it not coaching?
That's probably part of it too, man. Like it really is.
You can always get more athletic. Obviously, when you hit your physical peak, but at a certain point, you can't really teach technical ability.
No, that's again, that's part of it though. But again, but now imagine trying to learn the technical side of it, but never getting, but not even late. But imagine trying to go, okay, I'm trying to take my game to the next part of the technical thing. My athleticism will come, but trying to do the technical part and not getting success because you haven't hit your athletic peak yet. You know what I mean? That's part of it. Like when we look at trying to develop
but we know a lot of guys that were slow back in the day, but they were nice on the ball.
Oh, 100%, 100%. But I look at it. I think part of the problem is I think we compare the men's and women's game a little too much.
Okay, yeah.
Because they're fucking different, man. You develop differently. Both boys and girls just develop so much differently that I think we have to come at it a little bit differently. You know?
Okay. So you think they should develop more technical, like, and time together rather than the physical part?
Massively. Because again, I think physical stuff will eventually come. And again, you can't take the physical side out of it. You should
100%.
Honestly, one of the biggest things that we've told a lot of our kids who are 12 is in the spring, do track. Go run track and learn how to run though. But learning how to run is so important. I didn't do that till I got to university when I got to work with my strength and conditioning coach who has won Super Bowls with the Kansas City Chiefs. Works with the Toronto Maple Leafs, Boston Celtics. He's just with the Atlanta Braves, like all these crazy things. He taught me like proper technique and gave me like just sprint work. My off season was like lifting based on recovery and sprint work. That's all it was. I was never in the gym to get bigger, really stronger. It was none of that stuff. And it was crazy how fucking much of a turn of pace I had after like 4 months of work. And that wasn't even him with me every day. But like all of a sudden, if you get these kids now, teach them how to properly run, especially going through puberty where their body's changing constantly. Like if you get to teach them through that, and that's the athletic part, it's not trying to make them stronger. And like, they're never going to be as taller than they're never, you're always
you can't choose that. You can't choose that.
You can't choose you can't choose what their natural God-given speed is going to be, but you can improve the technique of running. You can improve those types. You can
to make them
your stability.
Just this much.
You can improve them that little much, and that little much might be the difference, right? But you have to be able to develop everything else along the way. And if you can't, like, if saying playing against older players for a certain player isn't going to help them develop that, then just fucking keep them down. Keep them down. Let them play their own age. Go. You're still coming to train. You're still coming to train. You're just doing all these other things. We just think, again, what's the most successful thing for the kid?
Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely doesn't make sense.
But I think you're totally right. They have to learn how to lose. They have to. They have to play against older players.
You have to learn around. You have to learn how to lose while playing the type of soccer that like you think would be beneficial to you when you do get to your own age group. Because like I'm not saying we won every game, but like when you get that technical side and tactical side, and then you add the physicality to it, it's like it's a breeze. It's more of a breeze when you get to your own age. So then your brain is wired to think like, okay, I have 2 seconds to think because I've always been playing with the younger guys, but now I have like 4 seconds to think. So now my touches are going to be cleaner because I have more time. I like that stuff should be cleaner. And like, you're right. Cause a 17-year-old dude compared to a 21-year-old dude is not a massive difference physically, but a 17-year-old girl in high school compared to a 21-year-old woman, yeah, it's a difference. So like I was thinking about it, I was like, when you look at a women's soccer team in college, you see the freshmen and you see the seniors, you're like, damn, it's a whole different ballgame. But then there's like some freshman dudes that come in, and then you see some of the seniors, you're like, yeah, there's not that much of a difference. So I understand what you mean.
And don't get me wrong, there's some freshman women that can come in and they'll smash it and they'll go all the way out. It's just and again, I think like
I'm just talking about physicality part.
Physically, how they're built and how they're like how they've already developed, it is massively different, man. So that's one of the things that I look at where I'm like, I think that there needs to be more of a balance within what they do. But again, when they go down, whether it's going down and playing your own age or playing up, those games have to fucking mean something to the players. If they don't mean anything, why do they even care about getting better? So you've got to build this system in which these things mean something to them. And so that's like the foundational piece. If we can correct that, then these CPL, the women's league, the national team, it's all going to flourish.
I think there's just another conversation to be had too, because there's a lot of guys, obviously people want to be spoon fed, and there's a lot of guys that are good players, but they're not training properly. Yeah, I mean, training
huge,
just
training is so big, man.
Just being like, just playing runs or staying fit or just, you know what I mean, kicking the ball. Like, you have to have an organized training session with a group of people that are around your same level. Like an organized training session where you have to think about the game. Where like when you play runs, like you're not really. So there's a lot of guys that don't want to play for Vaughn or don't want to, like they're chasing a contract, but it's like, you're not there yet. You don't have that contract. Go stay somewhere organized. If you have to work on the side, go work on the side. But like, stay somewhere organized where you consistently are thinking about the game tactically, like preparing, like, you know what I mean? Stay in that preparation phase. So then when you do have the opportunity to go to it, you can't just sit around and say, I'm going to stay fit until I have my chance. But all you've been doing is been playing pickup. When you get to organized system at a higher level, it's not just pickup anymore. Like there's certain things that you got to do, and certain ways you have to move for you to be able to stay at that level. So there's a lot of, and I think that's in Ontario mostly because of how many people we have. There's a lot of people that are just lost in the sauce right now. And I don't think they want to accept where they are at the moment. The biggest thing is just accepting like where you stand right now in the soccer community. And if you want to give up, then so be it. But don't just be floating around and like not getting proper consistent training. You're not getting better, just you running and playing pickup.
Yeah.
Like that's just for fitness.
It's kind of like if you're gonna do that, you might as well, like what I used to do sometimes. Go out on your own, go work on your own and imagine, because that keeps you engaged kind of tactically. You're like, okay, well, if I think the ball would come from me here, where's the defender potentially to like that keeps you kind of engaged. Do a bunch of technique, but you have to embrace the fucking suck, man. You have to embrace how fucking hard the grind is. If you can't embrace that and you're not willing to do everything possible and stretch out every night and roll out and do those things, man, like if you're already on the outs,
it's a lot of sacrifice, bro.
It's fucking a lot, man. It's a lot. It fucking took everything out of me, and at the end of the day, I had to make a decision. I had to make one.
100%, I get it.
And that's the thing, like that. And that's the thing, like I'm not saying that my path is for everyone. I'm not saying your path's for everyone, but man, you have to embrace that for a fucking goddamn long time to be able to make it work. And if you don't, you're not gonna have something just fucking handed to you. You're not.
Yeah, no, that's 100%. But I obviously wish the best for the women's league. If I'm excited. I'm excited to see. If I'm in Canada anytime that point, I'll definitely go watch a game. Why not? I don't really business. Soccer is football. So
yeah, I'm excited to see what they come up with. I'm excited to kind of see. I'm excited to see a lot of the marketing, because I think that that's a huge thing that they can improve on. I think some of the CPL teams have done a pretty good job of marketing as far as like banter is concerned. But again, I still don't see anything that brings someone in from the outside. As far as like that connecting with the community part, you know what I mean? Like that's the part where I'm like, okay, you guys need to sell what the city is. You guys need to sell the fucking lifestyle. Like there's a whole huge part of it. That's what fucking TFC do so goddamn well. Like they sell the city, they sell why do you think these guys want to come over from Italy and play?
But TFC is the first though. And everybody knows about Toronto because of Drake too.
Yeah, true. Oh no, but they play it up. They play it up.
Yeah,
that was the other thing.
They use it to their advantage.
One of my questions to the guy we got coming on was, do you guys regret bringing on the Drake curse? Started from the bottom as the first song you guys fucking walked out to. You could have picked any other artist and you pick him.
I don't even. Do you think that's a curse? Because they walked out and they balled out. It's just unfortunate.
They lost.
I mean, I guess that it's a curse. Yeah, Messi beat the Drake curse though.
But it only took him how long?
Yeah, bro.
35. He's already accomplished everything else. Like, the Raptors and Messi are, I think, the only ones to beat it.
That beat the Drake curse.
The Leafs still can't get out of the first round thanks to the Drake
curse. What, bro? When Drake said he chose Argentina, bro, I was like this in my room. I was like, no way. I was in the group chat cursing. I was like, bro, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, tell this guy to put his phone down. Yeah. I was like, yo, put your fucking phone down, bro. Nah, man. But he's that's honestly, all jokes aside though, it's actually like what we were talking about, like the women's soccer landscape. I mean, hopefully, like we just said, we just don't have enough people. Like America, like you can do that. Like there's 350 million people.
Yeah, I think the other side of it is that they need to embrace the idea of we're giving these women a platform and we're selling them. That's what
give me a second. Sorry, I have to give something to my sister.
Oh, good, buddy.
Where the hell? Oh, yeah. I'm in so much pain. Oh, all right, but yeah. So on to the next topic. EPO starting back this week. Everybody's excited. I kind of look at it two ways. I'm excited, obviously. First game I watched was the Carabao Cup, Liverpool against Man City. Haaland's at it again.
9 minutes in.
He's at
Less
it again.
Than 10 minutes he scores.
De Bruyne's at it again. So, I mean, it's nice to watch. Rashford's confidence is a big thing.
On fire,
Carabao
man.
Cup, the goal that he scored in the Carabao Cup, scored today, got an assist today as well. Yeah, but these guys just came off the World Cup. How do you feel about them not really being able to have a break in comparison to these other leagues? Like, I know we were talking about it. Like, there's a lot of money that goes into.
I think the Prem's just too. Yeah. It's too big. It's too big not to.
Yeah.
There's way too much money in it now. That's one of those things though. Like again, going forward, that's what pisses me off about this new fucking Club World Cup thing that FIFA want to push through because they're greedy fucks. The expansion of the World Cup to 48 teams in 2026 is gonna suck.
Oh, that's gonna be a long day.
It's just gonna be like how many teams are getting beat 6-1 now? Like honestly, like Costa Rica got beat 7-1. Like it's fucking stupid, man. Like you can already kind of tell the elite teams are really starting to pull away.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna dilute the quality down. Like it's just for me, it's gonna make the tournament less. I don't know that important's the right word, but it's gonna make it less coveted. Where you're gonna see you know what, the Champions League saying as it is, I'd rather watch that or the Euros. Like that's just what it's gonna be if it continues to go that way. It was the same thing with the fucking Super League. Like the amount of money that's just being thrown around right now is absolutely outrageous.
I don't want to make it North America, but like because the North Americans are putting so much, because obviously most of the world's wealth is on our side of the world. These guys, other than Saudi Arabia, but like when Americans, North Americans, Canadians, whatever, start to invest into these things, and because they're like major investors, then they start having to say, it's like, bro, don't try to change the global game into a North American style game. No. Like we don't need that.
They want guaranteed revenues, all this stuff. Fuck off.
Yeah, we don't need that.
Leave it the fuck alone.
We really don't need that. Like I know they want the entertainment value to go up, but like if you look at this last World Cup, why would you want to change anything?
Like that's the biggest thing. What could you possibly want to change? How many nil-nils were there? I think Croatia, Morocco.
Yeah, there was a lot of ties. There was actually a lot. There was like 3
nil-nils. I don't know. 3's not that many.
That's not that many.
1-1, 2-2.
There's a lot of ties though.
There were ties. Yeah, a couple 3-3s.
Well, not nil-nils. Everybody was scoring. Because everybody was playing expensive. Everybody's like, we're going for it.
Exactly.
told
And
you,
that's the thing. Like that's what was so exciting about it, right? Like again, I don't think the like I said, there's too many like smashings. Like the 7-1 was
but
such an anomaly.
everyone was in mid-season form though, and I told you that could change the whole
I
ballgame.
know. I know.
Because you're not coming after playing 75 games in a season. You're like, oh shoot, I got to play in the summer in the hottest country in the world.
Yeah.
These guys are in mid-season form. Like, okay, I'm just hitting my stride. Like now it's like look at the Premier League now. Sterling getting this. Like guys are back in. Okay,
Salah
like
looks like he's found his form again, which
yeah,
is great for
that's
my
what I
fantasy
mean.
Premier League team. But
Exactly. So the Premier League started. I mean, for me, it's like those guys because of how many amount of games they play, like the risk of injury is high,
yeah.
and I feel bad for them. But I look at them like, you guys get paid so much. I don't feel bad for you. So
Yeah. No, I know. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to say feel bad
Yeah.
for someone
Like
who's making
yeah,
£300,000 a
300,000
week.
pounds a week. Yeah.
Like you're
It's
like,
like
yeah, I don't feel bad, but I don't
I'm like,
feel
yeah,
good.
use 100,000 of that for recovery. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you good, bro. But
But
yeah, but like
I
I
think it'll make,
understand as a player myself, it's like, yo, that's still a lot on your body.
oh yeah.
Like
And I
for
think it'll
Sterling
make,
to fly back to fix his family issues and then go and fly back and play, that is still a 5-hour flight, bro.
don't get me started on him even playing ahead of Marcus Rashford. That was the stupidest thing I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
man.
But
So yeah,
I think it'll make, I think one thing I do think it will do, and again, I think for most of the players, like they didn't, yeah, they like Luka Modric played a fucking a lot.
mm-hmm. Rodrigo, all those Argentinian men are not coming back till the new
Yeah,
year.
exactly. So a lot of them played a lot, and luckily they have more of a break. Actually, Spain don't. Spain start up at the end of this month. Like Spain are starting soon. But like if you look at the guys going back to Germany and stuff, they're not back till the end of January. So they'll have a 2-week training camp back in Dubai, and go do that. But I think for most of them, like if you look at like Phil Foden, Bukayo Saka's back, like they kind of just kept training and played a couple games. Like it wasn't like it was an absolute, like it's not like England went to the
body.
final.
It wasn't like wear and tear.
There weren't a ton of Premier League players that really went to the final. Varane and Martinez from United.
Ryan's cooked.
McAllister from Argentina.
From
Brighton.
Where's Brighton? Yeah.
What
a revelation for that guy too. Unbelievable,
so good, man.
Yeah,
so good. Alexis McAllister, the most Argentinian name I've ever heard. From the
whitest. That's the whitest. His dad played with Maradona though, so that's actually kind of cool. And he played with Messi, bro. That's actually dope.
Yeah. So I don't know that
Emi Martinez. Yeah,
he's a goalkeeper. Like there's not a ton. So like if you look at like City, where I was like, oh, they might struggle. De Bruyne only played 3 games.
Yep.
Foden only played like 3 games. Like Bernardo Silva, Nathan Ake, but he doesn't even start for them. Oh, Ruben Diaz. So you have some of the Portuguese, and João Cancelo didn't play a ton.
Ake started for Netherlands. He played almost every game for Netherlands.
He doesn't play a ton for City.
For City, yeah. João Cancelo.
Like you've
Rodrigo,
got Rodri didn't play a ton. Rodri played center back too. He didn't really like you know what I mean. So I don't know that it's going to be as impactful as we think. I think in the long run, though, I think the more impactful thing isn't necessarily the World Cup, because again, some of those guys played 4 games in like 3 weeks, which is
normal.
Going into
normal like a league
every 3 days, or a game every 3 days now for the rest of the year, right? I think the impact of that, I think that's going to have an impact on every league, because I think they all have to do it now. Even though Germany is going so much later, I think there's still like a game every 3 or 4 days. So I don't know how much it's going to impact, like say the Champions League outcome, but I can see this break giving certain teams, like if you look at the Prem or even the Bundesliga, as tight as can be. It is like jam packed right now. So the race for Champions League, I think, is gonna be fucking awesome. Even in France, I think it'll be good.
Yeah.
The only one that I can see just being meh is Spain, because it always is. But it's kind of exciting where, again, you never wish any injuries on players, but if this adds parity to what we've just come to expect from a neutral standpoint, that's pretty fucking great, right?
That's true. Everything's up in the air, then it's actually dope. How do you feel about Gakpo
fucking
From
sick to my
Netherlands,
stomach. Sick to
signing
my
to
stomach.
Liverpool.
I
Why
fucking
is
hate
that?
it.
Oh yeah, man.
Supposed to
You
go to
need a
United.
striker. You
Supposed to
guys
go to
left. You
United.
guys
They need a
Ronaldo.
striker. Ronaldo's gone. We have a very vacant open spot. And apparently, Ten Hag's wanted him since the beginning of the summer, and they fucking can't get it over the line. And now Liverpool have an out-and-out striker for the first time since fucking Suarez.
They have Darwin
Sick.
Núñez though.
No.
He's not, but he just hasn't performed. But it's like, I'm surprised he didn't go to.
You know what though?
Man U. Why did he go to Man United?
Liverpool. It's calling me if I could tell you.
Because his buyout wasn't that much.
It was like 50 mil with add-ons.
Yeah.
Which again, we say isn't that much. That's so much fucking money.
Yeah, bro.
Oh my God.
At one point, Zidane was the most expensive player for 50 million. Like, that's long gone, bro.
Yeah.
Like 50 mil is
like
Harry Maguire is 50 mil, bro. Come on, we're not doing that no more.
He's
70.
60.
Yeah, that's why.
Outrageous.
See, like we're not doing that no more.
Yeah,
but I'm saying for Man U, for the team that spends a lot of money, I'm surprised. And because the coach is Dutch, that doesn't make no sense.
That makes no sense for them not to perfectly. It seemed to line up pretty perfectly. And after the World Cup, I went, "Fuck, this is going to be good." Because there's one. I was like, "There's another one in the door."
Informed.
I still think you needed another one because again, I don't. For Man United to get back to where they are, who the fuck is competing with Holland? Let's go find a striker that's going to compete with that fucker.
Jonathan David.
One day, maybe. I know the World Cup didn't exactly do great for his stock, but again, take this next couple months.
As soon as he came back to Lille, you got like 2 goals, a goal and an assist or something like that.
Fucking go smash it. Go smash it. Like, just keep doing what you're doing. It was fucking 3 weeks, man. It was 3 weeks. Like, again, I still think he needs to take another step in his career before going to a
bigger team
level. Like, to go to a Real Madrid or to go to a Man United or like a Liverpool or one of them. I still think he needs to take another step personally. But
he's only 22?
Yeah. He's got a lot of time. So again, like you have
Gapco is like 21.
I think he's young too, man. Like that again is now putting our young players on this level where you're like, oh my God. Jude Bellingham's 19, man.
But he's been playing since he was 15 though. That's a different ballgame.
He had his jersey number retired by Birmingham City. He only played like half a season there.
He's different. Like, he's different though. He brought such a different dynamic.
He's someone. If United buy him,
he's going to Liverpool too, bro. They're gonna sell.
They don't have Liverpool. Money. They won't fork out.
They're gonna let go of their whole team. Their midfield, Fabinho's gone. Henderson's on his last legs.
They're not.
Thiago gets injured.
They're not going to spend 120 million on him. They're not.
They just spent 110 million on 2 strikers.
Yeah, and if you look at how Liverpool spend their money, they need to sell 200 million worth of players. I don't see them getting rid of Van Dijk or Alisson. I don't know where this 200 million is coming from.
Thiago, Henderson,
Fabinho, okay, great. You've got about $40 million in sales there.
Fabinho.
Sorry, 42 million now with Fabinho.
What's his name? The young kid, light-skinned kid, number 17.
Curtis Jones.
You
can't sell him.
That's it.
You can't sell those kids though, because you have nothing to supplement your midfield. You have to keep him. You have to keep Harvey Elliott. Like, you're getting rid of the old guard who everyone's going to go, we're hunting on the cheap.
Yeah, that is
We're not spending that much money. So I genuinely don't see them.
Or you sell Darwin Núñez again.
They're not going to. And I don't think they should. I really don't think. I completely disagree with that. Like, the kid's had a really tough start.
Yeah.
The fucking Premier League is a hard goddamn league to play in. Yeah, now he's in a country where he doesn't speak the language. The weather is not the best.
Yeah.
In Liverpool, like,
no, I'm just throwing ideas out there.
I think it's just difficult for him because obviously you come off, like, you've got Salah, you're now replacing Mane. Luis Diaz was so good off the start. Jota's been good. Firmino's like dipped, so it's like, here's your chance, and hasn't been good. He wasn't good at the World Cup.
They should have sold Firmino when they had the chance.
But again, like, at the time, who did you bring in? Who would you bring in?
Because they had Jota, and then Jota was just dunking on people at 5'6".
Jota gets hurt too much.
But then they put Mane 9. Then they put Mane 9 because they got Luis Diaz.
Yeah. But again, though, that one, the biggest thing with Firmino is that Firmino is so unselfish that he would just go, what's the right option? Mane is selfish as can be, which he should be.
Yeah.
Like he needs
That
to be
one year when both
Salah
of them,
selfish.
when him and
Oh
Salah were
my
fighting for
god.
Golden Boot, that shit was
Yeah.
funny.
And you can see like Firmino was just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll give
Those
one
guys
game.
are genuinely mad at each other, bro.
Yeah,
It's so
exactly. Which is
funny.
which is great for internal competition. It was the same thing like when United had Ronaldo, Rooney, Tevez.
Mm-hmm.
Rooney had to put his ego aside and play out wide because Carlos
Mm-hmm.
Tevez had to play up top.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking hated it. He hated it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you
Yeah.
gotta find guys who are willing to do it to go achieve
Mhm.
something. And
Mhm.
eventually, like Mane goes, I want to be the guy. And they're like, yeah,
Mhm.
Salah's the guy. You're like, okay,
Tevez and Ronaldo did the same thing.
well, Ronaldo was always leaving. He was the guy anyway.
Yeah.
But Tevez
is like, I'm going to Man City, and he
well, I think it was
made a bag.
that was Wayne Rooney going, I want to play up front. I'm the guy. I'm done playing out wide. He can go play out wide, and he wouldn't want to do it. So you sell him, right? You get rid of him. But
Damn,
no, it's Gakpo to Liverpool just makes me sick to my stomach because I think that just gives them I think that gives them the piece that I can't not see them getting in the top four, especially the way they played yesterday too. Salah looks like, okay, here he comes. He looks like he's had a little bit of a break and he's rested and ready to go again. So I can't not see them getting in the top four unless they come up with a bunch of injuries again. But Thiago wasn't at the World Cup, so he got to rest. Fabinho wasn't at the World Cup, so he got to rest. And then now
Fabinho was there. He just wasn't playing. he was a fan like us. He played the same amount of World Cup minutes as me.
Yeah, same here.
Yes, sir.
But so I can't not see them getting in the top four. But Chelsea looked good. Chelsea looked better today.
Newcastle.
United looked good. Newcastle. Derek Penny's gonna drop there, man. It has to. It has to. If those fuckers get in the top four.
Newcastle in Champions League. Wow.
I'll lose my mind. I think they will get Europa League. I do think they will get Europa League.
Miguel Almiron is playing like his MVP MLS year, yo. It's crazy. He even get MVP that year. But I genuinely thought he was the best player in the league. That when he was before he left.
Unbelievable. Oh
before
my
he
God.
left, I was like, yeah, this guy's the best player in the league.
He was electric. But again, though, that was right there where he struggled off the hop, right? He struggled off the hop in the EPL. And so that's why I'm kind of looking at Darwin Nunez going, you got to stick with him. You have to.
Sorry, I got a call. I don't know if my screen went off.
You were kind of frozen. It's all good.
Okay, sorry.
But you know what I mean? Just stay with him. You don't have to move off him right now. Like, give him some time. Not everyone's going to hit the ground. Like, one of the other ones that didn't hit the ground running right away and then had a fucking huge lull was Eden Hazard. He had a great first 5 games and then was like, Juan Mata carried that team that year. Carried them. And then after that, he found his footing and he was flying, right? Like, there's people have to
coming from the French league and like the Portuguese league, those smaller leagues they're still considered kind of big, but like they're like the mid-table leagues. But
it's a different climate. It's a different environment.
Enzo Fernandez.
You don't speak the language. Like, yeah, another one. See, he'll go to Liverpool. They'll get him for about 45 mil. He'll go to Liverpool. There's no way.
21 years old.
Crazy, man. Didn't even start the World Cup. He did not start the World Cup for Argentina.
He benched Paredes.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. That midfield, bro, I don't know what was going on. I don't know what they took before each game, but the amount of ground they were coverage, the coverage of grass they were doing was wild. Otamendi looked like an old school version of himself. I was like, dog, until the final, I was like, this guy has been World Cup team, XI. And then he almost made France win. I was like, yo, why are you trying to bicycle kick the ball in the 123rd minute?
Bro.
Move your legs, brother.
He's just an idiot. That's the thing, though. He's just an idiot. But it's just, I know. That's one of those things, though, right? Like, that's why I don't try and judge players too much, even on international, because you have guys who can step up internationally, and they always have been able to. And you have guys who just, at club
like
level, Di Maria's a big game, even big game player, man. Champions League finals, man. My God, you don't want to play. You don't want to see him playing against you, but he scored in like the final of every single major tournament he's played in. It's incredible,
bro. When that guy was playing in the final and the way he was making Koundé look, I said, yeah. It's crazy to think that he didn't work out at Man United. Yo, I don't know what you guys be doing to these players, bro.
Give him but you
Alexis
had to give him more
Sanchez.
time. But again, he's another one though. If you look at Di Maria, he has house broken into. Wife doesn't speak the language. Kid doesn't speak the language. He doesn't speak like that's a fucking brutal environment, man.
Alexis Sanchez.
Yeah, but his whole career is
kind of
yeah,
he was a shell of himself that time.
He kind of has been since though. Like he hasn't gone
Memphis.
But again, like
he went to Lyon after that and was cooking. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. But again, he went to Barcelona and
then
like nothing.
Damn.
So,
man.
But again, I think part of it's timing. Again, the biggest problem with United is the top. It's the structure of the club's rotten to the core, and so it starts with getting rid of the owners. You gotta get rid of them.
What do you think? What do you think Ronaldo's next move is? Do you think he bit himself in the ass? Or we can have a conversation about this another time.
I mean,
this is a long combo.
Yeah, it's already getting long. Yeah, we have an interview coming after this too. Jesus.
Yeah.
But no, I think that the writing was on the wall anyway. My biggest issue with him is calling out the manager because I think that's bullshit. Like you can't do that. You should fucking know better. Regardless. And everything he said was Gary Neville's been saying this for years already. Like he's been talking about how poor, like the stadium needs to be redone, Carrington needs to be redone. That is common knowledge. He didn't bring up anything of value except for when he said like he felt like senior executives didn't believe him when he said his daughter was sick.
That's crazy. But that's the one thing that I was like, that's actually kind of wild.
In saying that though, who the fuck were they? Because if there's anyone that genuinely said that to you, just out them. Say their fucking name. Say their name. So everyone goes, fuck that guy, fire him. Because that's again, like that's like an institutional failure within the club, that someone like that needs to be removed. Like whoever that is needs to be removed. So if they said it, remove them. But he never said who they were. And then again, I feel like the manager didn't respect me. What the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, what are you talking about? He doesn't bring you on against City because you're getting absolutely smashed.
That's like, actually respect.
Battered.
That's actually respect.
You're up 2-0 against Tottenham. He asked you to come on for the last 2 minutes of the game. You might get a goal. You're up 2-0. You might actually, because they're going to press. Just go stand up at the halfway line. You might get a goal.
Yeah.
And you fucking walk off. Leave before everyone else comes. Like, are you serious?
I mean, yo, I hear your passion. I hear your passion talking, bro. I'm letting you go off.
It is. But like again, at the same time, though, the second you said about the manager, it was he's done. And I'm so happy that they just said, look, we're going to terminate your contract. And again, he went, you don't have to pay me, whatever. I don't buy any of the bullshit about him and Bruno Fernandes in the dressing room after that. Like, I don't fucking buy any of that shit. Like, I don't know where he's going to go. It sounds like he's going to Saudi Arabia for some stupid amount of money. But at least some reports. Again, I don't know that I believe that either. But
so when I watched the Piers Morgan interview, there's like only a couple of things that stood out to me, and like we can end off right here. It was one, that he was talking down on the manager. Two was that it sounded like he was speaking with ego rather than with intent. Three, he was trying to make it seem like everybody in the world wanted him. But like at some point, you have to recognize yourself, like, bro, you're top 2 greatest players of all time, top 3 greatest players of all time. You have that cemented, like your legacy is cemented. But at the same time, like, what have you done that's selfless to help anyone else? Like, why don't you take a pay cut? Why don't you, like, you know what I mean? There's different ways for you to work out your contract. Why don't you just be a leader of men at 38? It just sucks to see that he's going. It just sucks to see that he's going out sad. You know what I mean? Like,
they always
start in
though.
the knockout. Yeah, they didn't start in the knock. Yeah, but I don't think that's gonna happen to Messi.
But they've always been different though, man. Like, think about it.
Messi, but a personality, 100%. I'm saying, like, but I'm just saying, like, someone like Ronaldo, who everyone looks up to, and then you're more out there, you're more outspoken. People want to be like you. Like, no one says I want to be like Ronaldo, like personally. I mean, like Messi personally. You would say I want to play like him, but like you can't be him or play like him. So it's all right. But like, you know what I mean? Everybody liked Ronaldo because he was a hard worker. It's like it made it feel like you can do the same thing, even though you still can't. But it's like you have so many people with eyes on you. You have to be able to like look at yours. I'm not Gary Neville or anyone that played at the highest level. But as a human, in the human aspect, at the end of the day, when you retire, yeah, you're gonna be Ronaldo, but you can't just go around disrespecting people and putting people's name in the dirt, because regardless of who you are, you still have to be a regular human for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So if you still want that respect, even if you're Ronaldo, some people don't give a fuck if you're Ronaldo. Some people don't care that like you might go to like Miami or something. Oh, that's Ronaldo. Who the fuck? Some guys will be like, who the hell's Ronaldo? You can still get slapped same way. So like you have to check your ego at the door at sometimes. And like how he was making it look like, and Piers, that doesn't help either, because Piers sucks his dick.
just gaslights them.
Yeah, it just gaslights him. So it's like you could have went on there and said something, like you could have got your narrative out, but I just without throwing people under the bus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Ten Hag came out afterwards and said he told me he was going to make a decision on whether or not he wanted to leave. So Ten Hag said, "Okay, I'll give you a week." At the end of the week, he says, "I want to stay." He goes, "Great, love to have you." And he talked the whole time about he's a part of the plans. And again, this idea that he missed preseason, 100%, it's a horrible situation that no human being should be in, with the fact that he lost a son and then his daughter got sick. Or
my thing is, if you're gonna say something, say everything, bro.
But that's the thing. Exactly. But if that happens, did Casemiro walk right in the fucking team and play? No. He had to be brought up to speed. Ten Hag's got certain things going on. You need to be brought up.
The only person that did was Sandro Martinez, but that's because he played with them last year.
And Anthony,
because he played with them last year.
The only ones. So like there's that side of it. Again, the ego side of it, 100%. I mean, I think like one of the sad parts is that you're kind of seeing him. The ego is what drove him to be who he was.
Who he is.
And it's now like it's time to grow up, buddy. It's time to grow up. Like
it doesn't cost. I'm not saying he's not. Yeah, it's not. I'm not saying like he's not a great person. He doesn't do anything. Like obviously he's a great person and all that. So it's just like because you are great, people expect greater things from you, and like you got to go out in a manner where it's like, you know what? I controlled my own narrative. I didn't ruin any relationships, and I'm going out. I'm going out the way I want to go out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I think that's the thing. I think that's the thing, right, man? Like, and again, I don't really think he has many people like around him. You know what I mean? Like other pros. Like I think if you look at Messi and you look at that Barcelona group that he grew up with, they're all mates, all that stuff, right? Like the thing, like, and again, I empathize with him like this way because I mean I'm sure we've both been in the same situation where you grow up around certain people, and when you're trying to do something that they're not, you alienate them because they're like, yeah, you're not helping me achieve what I'm trying to achieve here.
Exactly.
You alienate them, and that creates some sort of tension, right? So I think he's probably always grown up with that, obviously moving the amount that he has from club to club to club to club to club, right? So there's that part of it. But regarding like the legacy part, I still don't buy that this tarnishes his United legacy.
No,
I don't think it's a United legend. He had a fucking horrendous exit. Yap Stam, Peter Schmeichel, like a lot of them.
A lot of them had a horrendous exit. Yeah.
So again, like,
you think he's the best? He's the best. You think he's the best player in Man United history? Career-wise, I'm not talking about like when he only played for United.
Oh well,
he's the best. Yeah. He's the best player, yeah, obviously that has ever put on a Man United shirt. Yes,
but it's hard to say that when his best years was one of his best years was at United. That's a couple, but
his best years were at Madrid.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. It's like saying, well, is Messi the greatest player PSG's history? We only played 2 years.
Yeah,
you'd argue, yeah, but like it's difficult. It's difficult when you look at like the George Best. Like George Best was fucking quality. Like, and he's up there. He's one of the. He's gonna have a statue, I'm sure. But like, it's also like Wayne Rooney scored the most goals in Man United history. Bobby Charlton won a World Cup.
So, no, I understand.
It's interesting.
I hear your passion talking, and I know this has been a long pod, but we're gonna have a passionate interview with one of the best, if not the best, wingback in Canadian history. I mean,
that could be a conversation. Man. Paul Salteri, if you throw him in there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yo, so
that's the debate
that we could. I was thinking about it. Shout out to yo. Don't Terry play right back? But yo, who cares, bro? That's old school. That's old school football. We in the new generation, bro. Salt Terry didn't go to no World Cup, did he?
No, he played
He
in.
was like, yeah.
I
See,
think he
we
won
cool
the Gold Cup.
with the 2000 Gold Cup with
I
Jim
think
Brennan and them
so.
man.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, we in the new generation, bro. Ain't got no World Cup, bro. We good, bro. Yeah. So yeah, man. I mean, there's a lot of passion there, and passionate because like this is someone that's very close to me. So if you guys know, um, it's a really good interview, and we got a really good ending for you too. We got a special guest with a special guest.
Very special guest. Very, very
Yes,
special guest.
sir.
So without further ado, we'll pass off to our interview.
What's up, everyone? It's Kwame Awua and Adam Jones back again at Top Bin Talks podcast presented to you by FTF Canada. Today we have a special guest. I've known him for 2 decades now, I would think. Went to high school with him, played on the same academy as him, played club soccer with him growing up, and he's one of my best friends. Our families live across the street from each other as well, so we go way back, play back. Yeah, Adam, telling you. Went to Akron University, drafted number 7 to Orlando City in 2016. Generation Adidas from Toronto, Canada. I went on from there 3 years at Orlando to Toronto FC, where he made a big name for himself. And the Toronto FC ranks helped them get to an MLS Cup final in his first year. Changed his whole game from a center midfielder to being the best right back, I would say, almost in Canadian history. Part of the Canadian men's national team that went to the World Cup in Qatar in 2022, had a big transfer from Toronto FC in 2021 to Nottingham Forest in England and helped them get promoted to the Premier League. Back with TFC on a loan. One of my best friends, like I said before, Mr. Richie Laryea. For people that don't know how to pronounce it, it's Laryea, not Laryea, but we gonna get to that. Yes,
Which is
my brother.
exactly
What's
why
good?
I had you do the intro. So
Yes,
my
that
brother.
instantly. Actually, you know what I would have said? I would have said Richie, and then I would have gone, please tell me how to pronounce your last name, because I heard it both ways. Instantly.
And you see, man's rocking the jersey. Inspiration, you know what I mean? First of all, shout out to you for giving me this jersey. It's been a long time. I know a lot of people, obviously playing back home, ask you for gear, kits, and everything, but we know what it is. Like, when you gave me this jersey, and this is the one you guys wear at Azteca, when you got into a fight, this one's special to me. So every time you play with Canada, I'm going to rock it. So thank you again. But anyways, how you doing, my brother?
Love, fam, love. I'm good, man. Thank you guys for having me on this. Pleasure to speak to both of you guys. Pleasure to obviously kick it and speak to my bro, my guy, Kwame, long time best friend. So yeah, I'm excited to catch up with you guys and hash it out and, talk all things soccer and beyond soccer as well.
I mean, so we're going to start off. I mean, obviously I know almost everything about you, but for people that don't know about like how you started and like your upbringing, like we're going to keep it a lot simple, because I know it's a long bio and how it's going to get drawn out. But what was your biggest inspiration to, like, what was your biggest reason to start playing soccer? Like, who wanted you, who put you into soccer, and like what made you fall in love with the game?
Yeah, I think that's a question that has so many different levels to it, because you know how it goes. There's so many people that influence you when you're growing up, but I'm just gonna bring it to the basics. The people I guess everyone would say, and it might sound cliche, but obviously my dad and my mom, obviously with them coming from Ghana all the way to Toronto, sacrificing their life, sacrificing a lot in order to try to give my brother, my sister, and I a better chance at life, is that alone, is historic from my parents. You know what I mean? Like, I could have went on to do anything or whatever I would have been, they would have been proud of, because of what they did to get us here. So my dad and my mom for sure, but I would say, my dad, even not more so, but he did do a lot. He came before my mom did on his ones, trying to figure it out by himself. So yeah, definitely him. He's a huge football fan, Chelsea fan through and through. So, whenever I think about football, I directly correlate it with him, because he's, the first person that, brought me to the Jaden Finch fields, and I was playing in shoes that were too big for me, his church socks, and not even soccer clothes, you know what I mean? So he's the number one person I think about whenever I think about football, you know. And then obviously others have come along the way, people like Roberto Correa, who was my first coach, and then his brother Ernesto, who helped me a lot. Then got to Sigma and Bobby and the crew, Costa, Phil, John, Dave, all of them helped me a ton. And then obviously had the pleasure to then go to Akron from there. And then my coach there, Jared Invick, was a big motivator for me. And then after that, I would say in the professional game, it's between, Greg Vanny having given me a chance and, really, really pushing me along. And then my national team coach, John Herdman, doing that as well and believing in me and, giving me my first cap, 4 years ago now. And, that's kind of a general consensus of what my career has been like so far.
Okay. Adam, you got something? You go.
Yeah, I was just gonna say real quick, because you're not the only one that was like, you talk about your first cap was only 4 years ago. Do you think that was kind of a special thing for this specific group where a lot of you kind of got your first cap pretty recently, and it was the same kind of group through and through? Like Alistair only got his first one, I want to say 2 years ago, and he's played the
not even 20. Yeah, 20. Oh yeah, nearly 2 years now. Yeah, you're right. Almost in the new
just
year.
the consecutive games now, right? Like where he's played every single one. Mind you, you went away to Nottingham Forest, and other guys have had different little schedule things. Like his is kind of lined up perfectly. But do you think that's kind of been something that kind of helped this group specifically? The fact that it was almost a group that was brought together at a specific time, but you guys were all able to stay healthy and maintained it the whole way through.
Yeah, honestly, I think with this national team, the biggest piece to it is collective, the brotherhood. You've heard of how close this team is. And then you have a bunch of hungry players. I know both of you guys know, as Canadians, we don't get the respect we deserve in many, many places. So, it's almost like a collective group of guys. I mean, if you go through the 26 plus guys that have contributed within the last 4 years to the program since John Herdman's come along, you look at guys' stories, no one's had that, silver spoon, been walking through life perfectly. And, no one has that. And I think that's what makes the team so special. There's everyone has a story unlike the other of how, they were either told they were not good enough, weren't going to make it, weren't going to play for the national team, whatever it might be, and I think that's contributed to how special it is as a group to go out and play these games, and I'll share something personal. Me and Julian de Guzman are really good friends, and after we played at Azteca and tied them 1-1, come back to my phone and he's texting me. He's like, I've never fucking seen a Canadian team play at Azteca like that before. And for me and for the guys, and I speak for everyone on the team, it's not like we were going out there thinking, oh, this guy plays there and this guy plays, on some of the biggest teams in the world. It was more like, a bunch of guys on this team I've known Kwame for a really long time. And it's like almost just such a nice opportunity for us to go showcase what we have in front of the world and against the best, but at the exact same time, not taking it as, I wouldn't say serious, but not letting the occasion be bigger than what we are. And I think that's what the biggest thing has been for this national team, for us to be able to go, probably one of the first moments is when we beat the US at BMO in 2019. But I think one of the biggest impacts was going to Azteca. You both know that stadium has a grand history of top players, Maradona, Pelé, all these guys that have played in it, you know what I mean? And it can be an intimidating place, but I think that was the furthest thing it was for us. And it just shows where this team's going and what new generations of Canadians are going to be like.
It's crazy because
stadiums in the world.
Yeah,
massive,
fucking incredible, man. I was talking about with my dad where we were talking about the 2026 World Cup, and we were talking about stadiums we want to go to. I was like, how don't we do the Azteca?
You have to.
It's if you're going to do a road trip, you have. It's the one in all three countries that is almost you have to go to. It's the one.
Yeah, it's like a mecca for how people go to MSG for basketball and all these type of places. That is the spot, and North, Central, whatever you want to call it, you know, and especially in these three countries, Canada, US, and Mexico, it's a must. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy because I'm wearing the jersey that you wore in the game, and I still got the grass stain on it, so it feels like I was there too. Anyway, going back
sweat
to
stains too, or what?
yeah, nah. I washed it, but you don't bleach.
Yeah.
You can't bleach the grass stain,
No.
bro. Come on. Yeah, you gotta make sure it's like still lively. Still feels like I'm
Framed
live.
Yeah, frame that shit.
This guy hasn't signed it, so I gotta wait. I have to wait till I see this guy to sign it. But
yeah, I'll do that 100%.
Yeah, going back to obviously your youth, you came up in the Sigma Academy, obviously with a lot of players. Obviously, Kyle, me, Chris Svank, who was at Forge, Justin, who was at Forge. Like all of our players. Like, what do you think that was a special thing about the Sigma group, especially our 95 age group? We've had conversations since we were like 12. Going to like when we're going to university, we're like, yo, there's a reason why Bobby stayed with us all those 5 years since we had that core group. Like, what do you think about that group, and what do you think is a testament to everywhere you've gone after? The type of football you've played has always been equivalent to almost equivalent to where you played at Sigma. Do you think that is do you think that helped you in your professional career? Or do you think that like you wish you could have played at different systems, like learned different ways how to play?
Honestly, I think Sigma set me up in such a big way that it's, like you said, I think from Sigma, it was almost like a cakewalk for me to go to Akron, because the two philosophies, tactics, all of that just coincided exactly with each other, you know, possession-based team, all of that. So it was, honestly, it was perfect for me. And then, like you said, then with TFC, the exact same, the national team, the exact same, and even down to Nottingham Forest, where yes, it's English football at the end of the day, but a team that wants to keep the ball a lot. So yeah, I would say that Sigma was huge. Obviously Bobby being a very big factor in that as well, teaching us, instilling, you know, like he used to say, you know, this is how they train in Holland, this is how they train in Ajax, and us doing all those similar things as they were doing over there, you know, him kind of like embedding those thoughts and like ideas, techniques, all of that in us. I think that's what's also helped me get to where I am today. That's you know, for sure. Obviously, you can be given God-given talent, but you know, obviously, people have to help mold it, sharpen your iron, and I think that's exactly what he did for me. And then, you know, other guys like Jared Imbick and then Greg Vanny and then John Herdeman were also able to implement, and then even up to Steve Cooper at Nottingham Forest were able to implement things that were like-minded to what I was already learning since I was a kid.
So obviously, for people that don't know, Richie used to be a number 10, the number 10 of Sigma, and he used to get the most yellow cards. I used to look at this guy on the field like, yo, what are you doing? And as you see him progress from youth soccer to collar soccer to professional, he's kept the same competitiveness, kept the same anger. But if you see him off the field, he's the happiest person. I always tell him we're like polar opposites: on the field, off the field. On the field, if I'm angry, I'm not going to play good. When he's angry, he plays unbelievable. And I didn't realize it until like our last 2 years in Sigma. I was like, you know what? All right, you can get them yellow cards. So if you're going to go on a run from 18 to 18, get an assist or a score, then we good. So seeing him pick up those yellow cards in Azteca and stuff like that, me as a fan, I'm watching, I'm like, bro, just don't get sent off. But everybody that else watches it comes to me, texts me, yo, Richie's a hothead. I'm like, bro, that's just how he plays. If he doesn't do anything that's gonna heat him up, then he doesn't feel like he's in the game. So talking about that, your transition from an attacking midfielder to a right back, in your mind, have you ever even thought that playing right back would ever be a thing in your career before you got to TFC?
Nah, honestly, no. You know, going into TFC, I went in to try as a midfielder as well, you know, playing as a midfielder, going through that stuff. And then obviously Gregory Vandu ended up leaving TFC, and there's only one right back, and it was only Aro. And they didn't have enough time to go in and get another one. So I just remember halfway through preseason, Greg Vanny comes to me. He's like, have you ever played right back before? I was like, no. He's like,
coaches asked me that?
Yeah. I was like, no. He's like, well, you're going to play the next game. And we were playing against UIC or whatever in University of Irvine, their college team. So I was thinking, man, I've never played here before. Like this is, but I was like, we're playing against a college team. I'm fourth year professional. It should be all right. Play right back, get absolutely torched all game. But I need to find the guy that I was playing against because he was doing me in all game, and we did film after, and I was like, all right, like it wasn't great, but also wasn't terrible, and it's my first time playing right back. They're gonna let me slide, and I'll never forget it. Me and him talk to this day, and I tell him it all the time. Robin Fraser was doing the video for Toronto FC, assistant coach at the time, and destroyed me in front of everybody. Positioning, what foot I was tackling it, how far off I was from the line, how I was too far up. I wasn't everything, just everything. So I was like, nah, this position, this position off. Yeah, I gotta get up. But then it ended up, they stuck with it. They kept helping me. I had to keep learning. I'm still learning till this day. You know what I mean? So it's I think it's been positive. It's 4 years and a bit now of me playing that position, and I feel like honestly every single time I get on the field, I'm learning something new because of how new it is to me. But it's been honestly good. It helped me be adaptable. It helped me learn the position, and then you obviously know as a right back now you come in, play inside, you play high and wide, you play shallow. So just learn. I feel like I'm learning new stuff every single day, and that's what I love. I think that's what keeps footballers alive when you get on the field and you don't feel like you know everything. And I don't. So that's a driving factor for me whenever I'm training, playing, whatever it might be.
That's awesome. Like, that's so cool that you talk about that situation too, because funny enough, I went through similar things. So when I was with the Whitecaps, I was playing PDL with their U23s, and one game I showed up and they're like, no, you're playing right back. I hadn't fucking trained. They didn't tell me anything prior. I literally walked in the dressing room, looked up, and like did a double take going, wait, hold on. Fucking, I got Jordan Morris playing against me at the time too. Like not a small player. Like I'm only 5'6" now. Good God. Yeah. And I came out of it thinking like, oh my God, we won 3-0. I got an assist. I played so well. And then we did film, same thing. I got torched. And I was like, no, I see why I'm getting torched now. Like now that I see it on film, it makes so much sense. But good God, like just being thrown into it, like it's kind of the same thing as you, man. Like fuck, you're like coming from a center midfielder where you're constantly having to turn all the time, check your shoulders, everything. It's a way different type of position.
New respect for that position once I started playing there. You feel
I used to tell you that too. When you guys, I'm like, bro, playing in the midfield, don't get me wrong, you don't have time. You don't have as much time as outside back. But outside back, you have to worry about the line because that's an extra defender, and then that person actually defending you. So you really can only go one or two ways. You go backwards or you're going inside. And a lot of people forget that, like, a lot of center midfielders, look at James Milner, went from a center midfielder to a right back. Trent went from a center midfielder to a right back. There's a lot of qualities that I see that obviously, like, you're dribbling. Probably have the most penalties in MLS in the last like 3 years. Penalties awarded. Even though I know your trick and I won't expose it because people gonna see this.
You already said that on one of the other ones.
Hey, yeah. But I said because that penalty, I'm like, bro, he's gonna drag his leg. And I know exactly it's the futsal trick that we always used to do. It's like it's either the guy has to foul me or he has to let me go. And it always works. So that's why a lot of people. Yeah, so a lot of people, like, you see center midfielders changing into wingbacks, it always end up doing better. First of all, they have an engine, because center midfield, you have to be able to run a lot. And then you're able to play out of tight spaces because in the midfield, you don't really have time on the ball. So you guys, it's easy for you to adapt. And especially your athleticism, like, come on. Like, no one's going to be able to handle that. Once you just get the defending and the tactical positioning on lock, it's dope. I was lucky enough, obviously, playing left wing and left back for Sigma, playing left back and center mid for UConn, and then playing center. I've always had an opportunity to play left back, so every time I got switched back to that position, I wasn't really lost, even though I'm still learning as well.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, Richie kind of went with the progression of it too, right? Like you talk about like how the fullback position is kind of how it's developed over just like the shortest period of time possible. So you were kind of at that stage where all of a sudden it was looked at. I don't want to say as a very athletic position, but very quickly after you started there, where you started then getting success going forward, getting assists, getting these things for TFC, you started seeing Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson start to get 9-10 assists a year in the Prem. And it was kind of like the perfect timing for you because you were just coming through already doing that. And I was like, it's almost automatic. It's obvious. Now in hindsight.
Honestly, it's amazing. You know, when I feel like when we were growing up playing, the position's obviously vital and it's always been important. But now you're seeing teams that like the outside backs are like, you know, putting in man of the match performances. Like you're seeing guys come off the field and they're going, yeah, he was the best player on the pitch. You know, like you watch Cancelo play for City and like some days you're like, what was that? Like this guy's, you know, Trent, you know, you've already named guys like that. Obviously, Dani Alves and Marcelo are the staples for my, you know, our generation of watching fullbacks. But then now you're seeing so many guys come through and it's, you know, it's insane. Like you're looking at games and guys are leaving the game going, fuck, like, you know, the left back was the best player on the field. Oh, the right back, the right wing back, the left, you know what I mean? So it's like a position 100%. Now that like you can play and like, it's not just defending. It's not just defending and giving it to the guys. Now it's a position where you can truly express yourself, which is, you know, which is cool. You know, I think it's a position now, once I started playing it, that I grew and had respect for because it's a two-way position, which I know a lot of positions on the pitch are, but it's a true two-way position. And, you know, a mistake going backwards is a goal and a mistake not going forward is not an assist or a goal, you know? So it's crucial. And yeah, I'm just happy to see, you know, how far it's come and that you can, you know, watch games and guys are given outside backs credit now for performances that they put in.
Yeah, like it was almost like Ashley Cole and Gary Neville were so renowned and Eric Abidal because they're defending. That had nothing to do with anything going forward. Look how many trophies they helped win, but they didn't have the assists or goal totals that modern fullbacks now do, which is crazy.
So obviously you get changed to a right back, put in a shift in Toronto FC, 2019, 2020. Obviously the bubble was kind of on and off. TFC didn't do as well. You guys had the Champions League as well, I'm sure, right? Because you guys on the Eastern Conference.
2020 was good. We were first in the league for Supporters Shield up until 2 games out and then lost it.
Okay. Yeah, you guys were also in the you guys were in the Champions League as well, no? In 2021 or in 2020
was Champions League. 2021
was Champions League. Yeah. So you guys did the Champions League. I feel like every team that goes through the Champions League has a Champions League curse because you start preseason so much earlier. By the time you get to the first game of the season, you already have traveled to Mexico back and forth, especially after COVID, when COVID was still up in the air. It's definitely a difficult task. You've seen it with Seattle Sounders. They had Champions League, they went all the way, won it all. And then in the league, these guys were burnt out. You've seen it with New York. You've seen it with so many teams that have gone to Toronto FC. The first time they went to Champions League, 2018, they came back and didn't really, you know what I mean? And that was the last year of Giovinco and Altidore, 2018?
2018 was last season of Giovinco, yeah.
Giovinco, yeah. So you see the kind of the drop off. Maybe do you think it's because the lack of a break because of the MLS season back in the day was long? Like the MLS Cup was December 10th, and then you would have to start Champions League a month later.
Yeah, that's obviously tough. I feel like when we finished the 2020 season, it was like such a good season because of how hard it was with COVID and all that type of stuff. And we did well, especially playing away from home in Hartford and then playing in Orlando in the bubble and all of that. So good. And then it's like, yeah, you need a recharge and a break, but it almost didn't even feel like a recharge or a break because it was still COVID. There were still things shut down. You couldn't really do anything. Couldn't really go on vacation. You didn't want to get COVID, all of that stuff, you know? So I feel like we started 2021 and we had a good, obviously lost Greg Vanny, but still had our team pretty much, still had a good team. And then, like you said, Champions League happened and we lose also for an extended period of time. We lose pause for almost 4 months. Josie gets in, you know what I mean? So like you're missing top players because like you said, travel, train, all these little things, you know, and it's tough. You know, you go from doing virtually nothing to coming into preseason and you have to get right back to it. You need to compete in the Champions League against the best teams in Central America, and it may be other MLS teams. You know what I mean? So it's yeah, it's tough. I think maybe I mean, even now it's going to be a shortened break because of the World Cup, but I guess for people that went to the World Cup, but yeah, I mean, I guess it's something that the MLS has to do, teams and players have to deal with though. You can't really make excuses for that. I guess it's more on, us as players to do maybe a little bit more during the off season to make sure when we come in, it's, we're preventing having major setbacks like some people have when they come back from preseason, getting, muscle injuries and whatever else it might be.
So would they not give I'm not trying to throw TFC under the bus here, but would they not give guys like you and Oso and any other TFC guys a little bit of special privileges here? Obviously, coming back from a World Cup, you guys have extended your season that much more. Would they not? Take an extra week. We're gonna ease you guys in, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely this time around, especially with the World Cup and us going from out of season, a week off. We came back to Toronto. We were training up until we left to the pre-camp in Bahrain that we went to. Then from there straight into the World Cup preparations. It's been a lot, going on. All good things though, but a lot. So yeah, we'll definitely I know guys that have competed in the World Cup, they'll kind of ease into the preseason for sure because of how much shorter of a break we get from everyone else. I think it's like under 2 weeks and we have to be back, already. So
I mean, you'd hope so. Like you guys are at the World Cup.
Yeah.
Sake. I mean, like if you do want some reps, I know FTF's doing off season again, Rich, if you want to go back. I think you went one of those years.
I'm gonna check out one of the sessions at least for sure. But I'll
that'd be dope. I mean, I wish I was back there. I'm still in Vancouver, so I'm not there. I can't reach that far. But I know Kwame's gonna stop by Boxing Day.
The weather's gonna be terrible too, bro. So, but I'm gonna stop by the Boxing Day tournament for sure. Get some content on that as well. So that should be dope. I'll interview a couple guys that are there. I mean, hopefully they don't say no, try to big time me. But I got Thunder and Lightning if they need it. If they got a problem. Anyways, bro, so I think one of the major issues that was going into the tournament, a lot of people were saying that the MLS guys are not going to be as prepared as the guys that are playing in Europe. And I think watching you guys, that was a false narrative because some of the best performances came from our MLS guys when you guys played in the World Cup. And I think it's a testament to the guys that played in Montreal and Toronto FC because Champions League, you're still playing against top tier opponents. Yes, they might not be in Europe, but if you take it in correlation to the level of the Toronto FC players, like talent and everything wise, compared to the Mexican teams, that's almost like Bayern playing. You know what I mean? If you get the correlation, like Bayern playing one of their league games, you know what I mean? Like talent comparison. So it's like, okay, yeah, it might not be Bayern or whatever, like Alfonso, but you guys are still going against the top talent in North America as much as possible for you guys to be prepared to play in the World Cup, at least to reach a top level. Because Mexico, as much as people don't know, like they're a top 20 country in the world for a reason. They're not no scrubs. Like, and a lot of those guys play in the Mexican league. It's not like, you have Chucky Lozano and all those guys that play in Italian Serie A and etc. But like most of those guys play at the best teams in Mexico. So you guys like performances from you in the first game against Belgium, getting Carrasco strapped. I think he's still in your pocket. I think you should check that. Alistair against Eden Hazard, for the most part, was brilliant. Kamal Miller, like everybody knows when Kamal gonna slide tackle, but he still gets those tackles off. I see that we see the tackles coming a mile away, but he still gets some shits off. So shout out to Kamal. Like just performances from guys that were in the MLS, you see the difference. Maybe when it came to certain specific moments, like we were missing the quality, not the MLS guys, but in general, missing the quality, like finishing the final touch, the final pass. But it didn't seem like we were that far off as many people thought would happen. People were just glad to be in the World Cup. But I think for Canada to keep progressing, we have to make sure that this should be like something that's every 4 years. What do you have to say about that?
I agree. I think especially in the first game, it's something to write home about. I think it's something, I don't really I don't really look online too much to see what people say and all that type of stuff. So, but I think personally, people should be writing home and be so excited after that first performance, and even the pieces and stretches in the Croatia game, stretches the second half against Morocco. Like these are like top teams. We play against Croatia. We play against Belgium, the number 2 in the world. We play against Croatia. They go all. Look how far they made in the tournament. Actually, they had just went to the finals the year of the World Cup before, and then after we play against them, they make a run. Morocco make a run. These guys are 2 teams in the Final Four. So I guess I think Canadian fans should take that all into perspective, that like we haven't been to the World Cup in 36 years, and we went up against good teams, good fucking teams. You know what I mean? And there's no hiding that. But I think one thing they should look at is, like you just said, you have guys that play in the MLS, you have guys that play in Europe, whatever the mix of. You played against Belgium that has guys playing in like some of the best clubs in the world. You play against Croatia, playing against some guys that play in the best clubs in the world. Same with Morocco.
Former Ballon d'Or winner.
And you don't, and for me in the games, like, and when we're right in it, especially in the first game, and even like I said, stretches in the second and the third game, there's no difference. Belgium, you saw what Batshuayi and Eden Hazard, Kevin De Bruyne, you see what these guys said after the game. They know winning 1-0 was lucky on their end, and even something obviously I haven't shared with anyone apart from people close with me is that even after the game, speaking with some of the guys on the field when we were shaking their hands for good, these guys were like, "Fuck, like we got away with it. You guys are good. Like we hope you guys go through." Like all that type of stuff, and to have players of that caliber and a team like Belgium telling, some Canadian guys that no one even believed in or no one even thought could be on the fields, and watch them outplay a nation like that. Like, I don't know, man. That was, in the moment, I didn't really think much of it. But now when I look back at it and, see clips from the game and all that type of stuff, it's just like, wow, like, a bunch of Canadians went and did that against like giants in the world, and yes, we came out with 0 points, but that's for me very unjust from the performances that we put in. So yeah, I just think Canadians should be super proud, super happy of what happened. And yes, I think angry that we didn't get any points, because we're angry, you know what I mean? They should be angry, and we need people to be like that, because we need accountability and we need this nation to be a footballing country. 0 points now is not acceptable for any Canadian team moving forward. That should be the standard. We should hold ourselves like the way the Argentinians, the Brazilians, all those nations hold their national teams. That's what I want Canada to eventually get to. And I hope quickly and soon. And I hope by this next World Cup that's how it is. It's like, no, it's not good enough to just go. It's winning games, which, don't get me wrong, now it wasn't just good enough to go. We had the mentality inside. And I think for those who paid attention closely could see in our performances, we were going out to win games. We could have played against Croatia, scored that goal, and
played a back five.
Sat in a bunker, not attack, just absorb, hope to walk out 1-0, maybe 1-1. But we didn't. We continued to play. We continued to attack. We continue to be ourselves. So that showed you that we're fearless, and again, that we don't really, we weren't scared of who we're playing against. Yes, top teams, but we weren't scared. So yeah, I think my overall, I know it's a grand message I just gave, but I think the overall thing for me is that I'm super proud of our group, and I know everyone within our walls is super proud, but I think Canadians and fans should all be super proud, and even now, more so now, motivated for this team, because I'm telling you right now, with what I saw within the group and the players that are going to be coming through in the next 1 to 4 years from now, it's gonna, this team's gonna be a powerhouse. You know what I mean? Like, that's how we have to look at it. We have to go into the next World Cup as in, okay, we have the experience now. Let's go and make a run. Let's get to the finals. Like, that's the mentality now.
I mean, I love that you talked about like accountability. That we're like, no, fuck that. It's not good enough. No, we wanted this. Like that for me, like from the message from inside the group is the best thing I think any Canadian fan can hope for. Because the biggest thing that at least I've seen from the outside, from the media perspective, having been in it now for a little while, has been when things are great, we're going to pump it up. But when things not go wrong, but don't go according to plan, it's almost like, oh, well, here's an excuse. Yeah, like Kwang's, well, but like, no. Let's hold ourselves accountable. Let's do this. And like for me, going into the World Cup, it was like, it's pretty obvious you guys had the group of death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the main part for me was I looked at it and I went, from an objective standpoint, I went from where you look at where they are as a group starting, you got like, we're at the beginning of a cycle right now. I think that's the scariest part, is that this group, if we look at it's only a couple of years, really everyone together, we're at the beginning of a cycle ready to fucking go in 4 years. We're kind of in the middle of one with some of the younger guys. And it's like, that's going to be crazy. Middle of a cycle. If you look at objectively, given the fact that you have Belgium, Croatia, Morocco go to the semifinal, it's the group of death because Canada is the 4th team, but no one would doubt that they couldn't get out of the group.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy because I was watching ESPN FC and you guys know Frank LaBeouf, obviously. He played for Chelsea.
Canada go to what? The quarters?
He picked Canada to go to semifinals.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, hey, man, anything can really happen, to be fair. Because if you really think, it was a group of death, but how the World Cup ended up on the day of the last games, a lot of groups, like anything could have happened. There was only like 2 clear-cut teams or 3 that were like automatically advanced. So like Brazil,
France,
Portugal, France, like,
I think England went through at that point. That was
it. Like Netherlands wasn't cleanly through. USA wasn't cleanly through.
Germany
like
got
there's
knocked
so
out.
many teams. Yeah, Uruguay, Ghana, Portugal weren't like anything could have happened. So it was like, damn, like to see what you guys did, honestly, and to know so many guys on that team and where everyone comes from. Like, I'm not saying we were broke, but like we didn't really have anything. Like I see these guys, like we all grew up in the trenches. Sigma versus Bond. Every time we played each other, every freaking weekend, as much as possible. The same guys. Imagine it was like CPL, but with 2 teams. You're playing every weekend against Vaughn. Bobby shifting formation. Richie playing 9. I'm playing 9. I'm playing center back, playing 6. Everything. Just to I get some refreshment. Like, you know what I mean? But like to see where everybody has come from to go to the World Cup, like even the journey there. At first, I was like, it's tough because CONCACAF is a tough region to play in. The travel isn't easy. The food is garbage when you go to some of these countries. Because I had the experience of playing CONCACAF League and being in those countries, like some countries don't treat you well. Sometimes they don't do anything on time. They don't give you the equipment you need. Like you're going to these middle of the park places to train on these trash fields. Like I don't know how it was with a national team. I'm guessing obviously they have more respect for national team, but it's still a tough region to play. It's still a tough region playing. For you guys to go undefeated, you guys didn't lose a game in the qualification.
We didn't lose until the last window. Yeah,
last one. Yeah. So like for you guys to go that far to the last game to go undefeated against these teams, like for places people throw piss and shit and say all these racial stuff, and you guys were up in their face, bro. It made me feel like, yo, we brought some hood to the team. Like we brought some gang. Like Canada finally got some gangster in them. You know what I mean? Like that. You know what? The punch back. We used to get punched in the face and be like, oh shit, like all right, like whatever, like you guys got it. But now it's like,
it's
you know
always
what I mean?
the complaint.
Like we got 8-1 from Honduras, and we just sat there like puppies, bro. So like the fact that like when you guys even went down in the game, you guys like, are you dumb? And you guys did exactly what these countries would do to us when Mexico came here, y'all playing in Edmonton. I was like, they deserve that because every time we go down to these countries, they were disrespecting us, making us play at certain times of the day in the heat, this and that. So like, some of these countries need to feel that same pain, feel that cold, get your toes a little purple and blue. You know what I mean?
Rich,
they don't.
What was your reaction to playing in Edmonton? Were you like, oh, you got to be fucking kidding me? I got to play in the cold? Or were you excited for it?
I honestly, man, I haven't, to be completely honest, you haven't seen much of Canada apart from Ontario, Quebec, and BC. So, you know, and the major cities like Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, I'm talking about, I haven't really been anywhere else apart from that. So, I thought it could be cool because I was like, all right, like Fonzie's from there, it's going to be big for him to get back and play in front of family and friends. We knew it was going to be a sellout crowd because of how excited people were to have the team in Edmonton. And then we heard about the conditions, and then I was like, damn, that's going to be cold. And I can't really play with tech fit or long sleeve or anything. I have to play with a short sleeve
and
shirt.
gloves. You're African.
So, and not even gloves sometimes. I kind of wear gloves sometimes. So I was like, damn, it's going to be cold. And then we got there and I was like, it's freezing. But then I was like, we're playing against Costa Rica and Mexico. No, like, we may not be fully prepared for this, but they are for sure not prepared for this. So, it was just like Kwame said, you go to certain places and you go to Honduras and you're playing a game at 3 p.m. and it's scorching hot, Yep. But a lot of them are used to it. Or you play at Azteca and there's the altitude. We're not used to that, but they, you know what I mean? So there's these little things. So if we have to use stuff like that to our advantage now, I say why not? Like we've shown now we went there, we are undefeated, we won both games, and yeah, it was a good place for us in terms of hospitality and fans, and the people in the city were really happy to have us there as well. So and I got to obviously know a little bit about Edmonton. So yeah, I think it's good, and I think it's important now with the team that we have, guys from different places, and to have gone to a World Cup. I think a lot of other cities will want to host a national team for games, and I think it's something, in my opinion, that should happen, because I think maybe not every city will get it, but different cities and provinces having a chance to host a Canadian men's and women's national team in their backyard, and for those little boys and girls to be able to come to the game and see Christine St. Clair and see Alfonso Davies playing in their backyard, you know what I mean? So I think that as well is important. So Edmonton was cool, and I think it'd be nice to play there again and also see different places in the country, so we can grow not only in Toronto and Montreal and Vancouver, but in the entire country. Make it, like I said, a footballing country.
Sorry, so just 1 sec. Richie, on the back of that, so just a quick follow-up, because this was the first World Cup, luckily, you guys got to play at, where you guys were located at one spot. You guys, the team hotel didn't move. Looking ahead to 2026, what would be your thought of, obviously, there's only 2 host cities, it's Vancouver and Toronto, but they're fucking far apart. For you guys, from that group perspective, would you rather stay in one place, whether it be Vancouver or Toronto, or because it's the World Cup, would you rather play in both? Because you only have what? I mean, they don't technically know yet, but say you only have 2 group stage games. Are you going to want to travel that far in between games, or would you rather say, no, you know what?
Wait, how many teams are going to be in this 2026 World Cup?
48.
Really?
They extended it. Yeah. They maxed it. They increased the number of teams. So they don't know whether it's going to be a 4-team group stage or whether it's going to be a 3-team group stage. They still have to, FIFA are still trying to figure it out. But like I said,
48 divided by 4, you have 12 groups? Damn. Damn, that's going to be a long World Cup.
Yeah. Well, it's just why they have so many host cities. But like for you, like obviously being in one location, you guys don't have to travel. Like after game, you go back. Okay, one place, no travel in between. Because I think I listened to David Beckham talk about it on Sky before, where he was even like, it was difficult after a game, you're traveling and then you don't get back to your next place till 4 a.m. the next day, kind of thing. Now you're trying to get ready for the next game, all this stuff. Like for you personally, would you rather stay in one place, or do you kind of feel like we're hosting, we got to get to the other place?
Which World Cups did David Beckham go to? He didn't go, bro.
2002, 2006, 2010,
98. But everybody,
everybody
everybody forgets about. Sorry, Rich, but everybody forgets about how big North America is. Like David
that's
Beckham
part of what I'm saying.
David Beckham complaining about flying in Germany, bro. Come on, North America, bro. All right,
it's massive. That's why I asked. Yeah.
I think obviously we've been spoiled. We got spoiled in Qatar. That, like you said, we were able to stay in the hotel, had our training pitch, knew our everyday day-to-day stuff, and then also, with all that being said, the stadiums being at most with a police escort, 30-minute drive. It's like, yeah, you're spoiled, you know what I mean? But seeing as other World Cups were like that already before this one, you can't really complain, and there's no excuses I guess you can really have, because both teams or all the teams are going to have to do it. So yeah, obviously that's going to be the format, and that's something we're going to have to get used to. But then on the back end of it, if it's also, yes, if there's an opportunity to stay in one location like we just had in Qatar and have your training field, have everything predetermined, set, and you know what your schedule more or less is going to be like. That would obviously be convenient on the legs, body, mind, all of that, you know, but obviously that's not going to be the case. And it's going to be, you know, pretty hectic. But I think also a lot of the guys in the National League have played in MLS, and we've done leagues where you're in Dallas to Toronto, then across to Seattle. You know what I mean? Like there's leagues like this that guys have been on before. So it's not like it's maybe to some guys on our national team won't be brand new. Maybe the European guys will be like, what you know, a lot of the European guys will be like, what is this? But yeah, everyone's going to be doing it. So I guess that's an equal playing field. But of course, yeah, if we could have this set up again in Qatar, that'd be super ideal.
What host city would you want to be set up in? Because I know your favorite cities, but I'm trying to see what the guys on the team agree.
There's two of them. It's going to be one of two. It's Vancouver, but if Toronto. Canada's going to be set up in one of those two, 100%.
Talking about the U.S. as well.
Yeah, I'm talking about the U.S. as well. You never know. You don't know how it's going to be set up.
There's no way they're going to throw them in Texas, man. There's no chance. They're hosting it in this country. Mexico's going to play in Mexico. The U.S. are going to play probably in
that does not guarantee that they won't have a third game. So you're saying they can have a game in Toronto, then in Vancouver, then back in Toronto. That's what you think. You think Canada's going to play all 3 games in Canada?
Group stage?
No chance. No chance. No chance.
They have 11 games.
I think don't they already have the format kind of set out that it's like that?
I don't think they have the format much, because I don't think they have the format set up at all, to be honest with you. I think Vancouver, Seattle are going to be like, I feel like that'll be a group.
I don't see that's what I mean. I don't think that'd be smart for them to go Toronto and Vancouver. You might as well go Toronto, New York. That would be beneficial to them a lot better. Like, yeah, if you're going to play in like that flight compared to a Vancouver flight, yeah, that sucks for the people in Vancouver, but like, let's be realistic. Do you want your team to win, or do you want to just, I want to be able to watch my team? Like, dog, you're gonna be like, yo, I will travel instead of having the team travel back and forth, or play 2 games in Toronto.
Not terrible flights, and people can also, if they really want, drive or something like that. But yeah, I mean, there's so many.
You can't drive between Toronto and Vancouver. Come on.
No, drive from like Toronto. It's like Toronto, New York.
Toronto, New York.
New York, 100%. Vancouver, Seattle, same thing. Like,
yeah, exactly. But like, there's so many great cities with. Obviously, I think everyone, amongst all the teams that would qualify, with it being in North America, I'm pretty sure people would be pretty fixated on the U.S. because that's the country most people know, and Toronto would be a big one as well for Canada. But like, obviously the New York, the Miamis, places like this. I think Boston even has one, Atlanta. You know, so there's like a bunch of, I feel like, nice sports cities that the games can be played in. So I think it's going to be a very different World Cup. But I think, you know, if done correctly, it can be one of the best World Cups in terms of like, you know, the game's grown. Sorry, can you guys hear me? Yeah. The game's grown in the US, the game's grown in Canada. Obviously it's big in Mexico. I think it can, you know, it's going to catch a lot of Europeans and South Americans and Asians and all the Africans, all the different countries that will come. They'll see that it's for probably many that haven't even been here or their fans haven't been there. They're gonna see how, like, you know, great of countries that Canada and US and Mexico can be that they probably haven't seen before. You know,
this is massive for the MLS. If you really think about it, this is massive because these players that have never been able to come to America, like let's say their country gets stationed in New York, Miami, all these places. The older guys that are probably on the tail end of their careers are going to be like, you know what? I'm going to come to the MLS after this World Cup, you know, because like, yeah, I can survive here. Like the MLS is going to be getting some. I feel bad for the younger guys. Maybe even the younger superstars might be like, you know what? Let me come to the MLS, make my money. You know what I mean? There's going to be a whole influx of players. But Richie, going to the World Cup, what was your moment? Like, I'm in the World Cup moment. Like, you know, when people, like, when they get drafted to, they're like, wow, like that pro moment. Like when Pirlo hit me a pinger, I was like, damn, like I'm playing with Pirlo. Like, what was your World Cup moment where you're like, damn, I'm actually here? It could be with family, it could be with soccer, outside of soccer.
I think the biggest thing for me, it was taking me so long for it to feel real, even up to the game. building up for the game. I'm like, this just feels like a regular game. It just feels like a regular game, you know, like it did. Like I didn't have the World Cup moment, even when we're doing the match day -1 training, then the match day when we're doing breakfast, lunch, we play at 10:30. So even dinner, like I'm sitting there, I'm just like, yeah, this is just another game, you know, like you're playing against a good team, but just another game. But then when we got in the tunnel, and I'm like, we were out first, and what, like, I'm always the next, it's the captain, it's Atiba, Milan, and then me. I'm always the one next to the goalie. And then next to me is always Kamal. So me and Kamal are sitting there, we're just, you know, talking our shit, pumping each other up. And then, like, you know, we're sitting there in the tunnel, I'm standing there, and then feel someone walk by me, and just like massive, like, and I look up, I'm like, damn, this guy Courtois is, this guy's a beast for real. Like, I'm just looking, I'm just like, wow. I was like, all right, whatever, focus on, obviously I'm seeing all their players, they're seeing us, it's normal, you're seeing the players you know, you watch on TV 100%. And all of that. And even then I'm still like, whatever, like, yeah, it's there, obviously there's Hazard, there's Kevin De Bruyne, all of that, that's cool, but like, we're here, this means business. But then when we stood in line and we sang the national anthem, I was like, bruh, I watched the World Cup and I've never heard this anthem before. You know what I mean? That was kind of like, and me and Kamal kind of like looked at each other, we're like, even like,
Kamal teared up, bro.
We're like, yo, we're not even supposed to be here, you know, like that's
it's facts.
You know what I mean? So like and then like when we're singing the anthem, obviously he was crying. I was looking around, I locked in on Melanie, Elijah, saw my parents, saw my bro. So it was just like, you know, I was all those things together, plus hearing the anthem, I was like, wow. Like once we did the anthem, I was like, I'm ready to play. Like it was either I was gonna be like, nah, this is too much for me. I gotta leave, or
you're folding, or
ready to play. And I was ready to play, honestly. Once we sang our anthem, they sang our anthem, and then we shook hands. I was like, bro, this is a World Cup. Like this is mad.
Damn, bro.
You can kind of tell. Everyone kind of had that same. Everyone's had that same kind of philosophy too, because you can kind of tell. Like you talk about, you're like, oh my god, this is fight or flight. Like it's fight or flight, right? And all of you guys kind of have the same, like, nah, fuck this. This is fight. We're fighting.
Yeah.
Just really quickly, obviously, Rich, like you're at Nottingham Forest for a little while, then you come back to TFC. So you were kind of in that kind of zone where I don't think people understand how good and how fast the championship is. Like it is a top level.
Honestly,
and then we'll get to Nottingham Forest and the champ, but like looking at the World Cup, knowing you guys, having played against some of you guys, I didn't get the chance to play against you and stuff, but knowing how fast you guys are, and then watching Kevin De Bruyne, at one point, did you sit there and go, wait, how fast is this fucking guy with the ball?
Yeah.
Because there's times where he was running, I'm like, there's no fucking chance he's outrunning some of our fastest players with the ball.
Yeah. Honestly, the biggest one for me that I saw in the Belgium game, obviously you're looking around, you're like, fuck, these guys have quality everywhere. But for me, the one that stood out the most to me was when we played against Croatia and Kovacic. Like that guy on the ball was just like, and I was literally on the field. I was like, damn, this dude, like this guy's like, we knew going into the game they had a really good midfield with like him, Brozovic, Modric, and him. Like we're like, this is a good midfield. But then watching him get on the ball and dribble, I'm like, this guy's faster on the ball than he is on, like that's like, you know what I mean? But yeah, that was watching him, and again, like it was so nice to see like our players competing, winning the ball off of him, you know, stuff like that. But like there were periods where I was like seeing him dribble, I was like, this guy's, you know, he's good. He's a fucking good player.
Damn, bro. Nah, man, that gives me goosebumps, bro. But obviously, as you said earlier in the show, you said your parents are from Ghana. Ghana was in the World Cup. Were your parents locked into those games as well?
My parents and my bro were locked in for sure. They got to it was nice. We were able to get tickets for other games through our national team, and I was able to get them tickets to all the games that they want to go to, and the one they want to go to the most was Portugal Ghana, so they got to go to the Portugal Ghana game, and yeah, they were happy, man. It was a good moment for them. My dad probably the happiest man in the world. He got to watch his native country and then his son play for his new country. So, it was a good moment.
That's amazing. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
So going into
you go ahead.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
I was gonna say, leaving TFC, obviously you get your move to Nottingham Forest. Was that a move that you're looking like, look, I want to go to England, I want to get to that one, or was there any specific country did you just not care? You're like, no, I got to get it over. I've done what.
Yeah, I wanted to go to Europe in general, but when the options came out and England was one of them, and I've heard all the guys that play in the Premier League, whatever, even like speaking with Junior Hoy, that like it's a country that he's like, if you're gonna play in Europe, you need to play in England. Like you need to have the experience or the chance to play in England. And honestly, it was the best decision I've ever made because I think it, again, learned so much because football there is, I'm already competitive when I play, but over there, it is everything. Like you can't, like, I'm not joking. Like my first game when I was there is they played Arsenal and I came back to Toronto to get my visa. When I got back from my visa, we played
Liverpool,
against
right?
No, Derby, which is Derby in the
they're right. Was Rooney the manager?
Sorry, yeah, Rooney was the manager. So
yeah,
we're playing against them, and the night before, I'm there by myself. I can't cook, so I was like, Uber Eats isn't a thing over there. I was like, I'll go get me some good food, and I text one of the guys. I was like, what's a good place for me to go? It was 4:45. I remember the time exactly. 4:45, whatever. Go for a bite at an Italian place, maybe like 15 minutes away from my house that I was at, and Ubered there, got out, went to eat by myself. I was actually talking to Kwame. I called Kwame. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because Kwame told me, Kwame's like, you got to eat. Like, I was telling him, I was like, bro, I can't sit at these restaurants by myself, bro. I feel so awkward.
Yeah, I'm like, you got to get used to it, bro.
Yeah. So,
that's what I had to do when I went over there.
I'm sitting there 8. I'm sitting there 8. I'm out of there by maybe 5:30, 5:45 max. And then games at like 6 p.m. the next day. When I come into I think everywhere in England for the most part, the day of the match, you go into the stadium, you're in your full like tracksuit, go in, eat there, hang out there, and then like the game happens. And the gaffer comes to me and he's like, "Oh, do you enjoy Italian food, don't you?" And I was like thinking like, "What?" He's like, "Oh, you like Italian food, huh?" And it was my first experience that like you really have to be on point in countries like that because like everyone is watching you. How the tabloids are with English players or players in England and all of that. So like honestly, it was amazing for me because everything was football. The magazine comes to the front door, football players. You're outside, you're going on a walk, people are noticing, oh, you're the new Forest player, so, and then just the games, the atmosphere, the tempo, the fans, like it's everything I imagine, man. The chants, like the tackles, the historic stadiums, all of that. It was first class, man. For me in Europe, it's the best country to play in. For me, that's what my opinion is. It's the best, and I know a lot of other people say it as well. But like to be able to play in England and play well and be successful there is a huge honor because it's massive,
So obviously, a lot of us believe that you've had performed very well at the World Cup, and it's not just me being biased or anything like that. If you played bad, me, I'll text you on the side like, yo, so what happened there? You know what I mean? And vice versa. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna tell you the truth. Like, you had a really good performance. This coming season, are you in a limbo, or are you prepared to go back to Toronto FC? Because I know stability is a big thing for you. Obviously, you have your child and your missus. TFC is it still alone till the summer, right? And then you can figure it out after then. But your sole focus is on going back to TFC and performing there in this coming season.
Yeah. I have a loan for 6 more months. I knew the World Cup playing well was going to be a massive opportunity both ways with Toronto or with Forest, elsewhere, whatever it might be. And yeah, right now, you know how my mindset is, man. I just take it day by day. I'm focused right now on getting back to TFC, getting through the ranks and doing well there. And then, what happens from there is what's going to happen, and not, that's, I guess, in my control, but also out of my control. But I'm just, honestly, I was texting, what do you call it? One of my boys, you also know, Kellen, and I was telling him, I was like, bro, I'm just so excited to get going again because obviously we're both in the World Cup, we were catching up. I was like, I just want to start training. I want to start playing again. I want to start playing football again and just getting going because I feel like playing the World Cup was like almost motivation, like more motivating for me to see that myself and my teammates can play at that level, at a high level. So, I want to get going and get preseason going and then, just take it day by day from there.
No, I mean, that's awesome to hear. I mean, you're even excited, almost like I want the opportunity. I want to go back. It'd be fucking incredible if they could stay in the Prem this year.
Yeah,
that would be
so
cool.
I hope they do. I hope they start the season, start up again, play on Boxing Day well against United, and then start the new year flying.
Yeah, I hope they start the next game better. I hope United kind of do okay because for me, I'm a United fan, so I'd prefer that United game to go United's way. But obviously, like looking at that though, what was your experience at preseason like? Because you got to go through a full preseason with them as well. Off the back of
not with Forest, you mean?
Yeah, with Forest.
Yeah. I mean, I did. Majority of it I did, to be fair. And it's England, man. It's tough. Trainings were tough. The running sessions we did were tough. It's just it's a different beast over there. So it was obviously I didn't get one because I went in January. So to get it then, it was pretty good, and I felt like I was fit, strong, and in a good place. So it was positive, honestly. It was good for me to get in within that environment, to play against the teams we played against. We played Valencia, Hertha Berlin, all those teams. So Union Berlin. So it was good, man, to play against top opponents, and then also with the team Force or Foreman and the 20 plus players they bought who were also very good players. It was good for me to experience that, to be there. So just something else I'm ticking off the box, in terms of my career and things that I can experience.
Definitely. Did you notice like a shift in mindset almost from the other guys that also stuck around? Like guys who weren't necessarily sold. Did you notice that in between the end of the season, obviously you guys get promoted, it's this fucking celebration. Everyone's so excited. But then now they got to go into preseason where again forced by 20 guys. Was there like
for me, I think it's like any winning team. Once you win, you do something well. There's people that are gonna stay. There's gonna be people that feel like they should have a bigger role there that can't get that role right away. That will have to go on loan, be sold, and then those be guys that like they'll just have to move on from. So I think with any dynasty, with any big team, winning team, and Force is for people, I know you two know, but for people that don't know, Force is a massive, massive club. This was England's team for a long time, so
they won 2 European Cups.
Yeah, 2 of them. Yeah, so it's normal. It's normal. 2. So it's normal for guys, to come in and be like, all right, I need to, maybe I need to go. For me, especially, that's what my thinking was when I came back in. I was like, need to speak to the gaffer, need to see how the new season will go. It's the Premier League. It's a bigger league. It's going to be better. Like I need to see where I stand, where I can put myself in the best position possible heading to the World Cup with the max minutes under my legs. So that's the decision I took. And once again, I'm happy I done so.
So I'm going to talk to you about the intangibles. What do you think is your biggest motivation to be the best person you can be and the best player you can be? Like, who are your biggest motivators? Who do you look to? You're like, you know what? This is not about me no more. Like, this is about I have people to support, I have people to make happy and prove to them that they're right for supporting me. Because usually we used to have a chip on our shoulder growing up, be like, I got to prove everyone wrong. But you get older, you're like, honestly, you don't really care about who doesn't believe in you. You're trying to prove to the people that do believe in you, like, that they're right to believe in you. It's like, who are those people that you believe that are biggest motivator to you to where you are now and to where you're going to go in the future?
Yeah, it's the people, like obviously said, my dad and my mom that are huge. My brother as well, because he's been in this journey with me. My sister, who has helped me a lot, and then obviously 2 big ones as well, which are Melanie and Elijah. It's just all things to keep you motivated and keep going for everything. She does with my son, everything my parents have done for me growing up, every session and battle I've had with my brother, and all the conversations I have with my sister. These are all special and big moments for me. And then also I look at my son, and then I see my younger self. And I'm also, for my younger self, it's like,
Man's pumped.
I deserve to give. Yeah, I have to give myself or put myself in the best possible position because my younger self couldn't even believe where I am today. I've all the things I've said with my brother, with you growing up, of what I want to do, World Cups, play in Europe, all the I've like slowly done that. Maybe not the traditional way, and it's taken me some time to get here, but I've checked marked a lot of things that I want to check mark off my list. So, I think it's a blessing, and I just need to keep going because like whenever I hit those tough moments, tough periods, I have to think about Melanie, Elijah, my dad, mom, brother, sister, and then most importantly, I think is my younger self because I have to remember how happy and how joyful it was for me to even think of having one of those things on the long list I had of what I want to do with my career happen, So yeah, that's I would say those are my motivational figures, definitely.
So what would you say? What's next? Oh, sorry, I was say what's next for you in your career? What are your next goals in your career? Because like you said, you checkmarked a lot of boxes, and you're kind of explaining the dream of how a lot of younger kids are looking to their career right now. Guys that are trying to believe that they can be the next Richie, Laryea, Alphonso Davies. What do you think is next for you in continuing to progress in your career?
Yeah, for me, I think it's simple. I don't want to really put a point. I want to play here, I want to play there. For me, I just want to, the biggest thing for me is to play at the highest level possible that I can play at, whatever that means or wherever that may be. And to just be competing titles, winning titles is obviously important to me. And just, continuing to learn, grow, and build. I think those are the biggest things for me. So if that is, somewhere in Europe, if it's an MLS, whatever it might be, I just want to be playing at my highest level, my potential for years and years to come, and titles to come along with it and success to come along with it. But also with all those things coming together, the most important thing for me to be happy and enjoying with the people that matter most to me. So those are the biggest things for me. And I feel like that's one thing I've had to learn this last year, that trying to plan out every single detail of what I can do is not the greatest thing for me. And when you fall short or, whatever it might be, I think it throws you off a bit. So I don't want to put a stamp on, I want to be playing here and doing this. And, I just want to highest level titles, happy and to be successful. So those are my starting points for me right now.
No, that's awesome, man. I mean, and that's a phenomenal attitude. I think a lot of people who decide to plan things out kind of find that the more they try and plan, the more things can kind of go askew. But you kind of talked about there where you're like, oh, these type of things kind of they kind of check you. Like you're talking about, oh, I'm thinking about my son, or I'm thinking about my missions and all these things.
He's doing a transition. Sorry. All right.
All good. So when you think about these different types of things that kind of I think about my son, I think about my younger self and all these things, has that kind of helped you stay, I think grounded is probably the wrong word, but almost like when you felt too much pressure at times, has it alleviated something? Has it helped you stay in the moment more or anything like that?
Yeah, I think grounded is a good word. It's one, I think that's something my parents taught me from a young age, is whenever, if it gets too high, too low, just, even keel. And sometimes that's, it comes back to hurt me sometimes being that way, just because, because of how even keel I might be in some situations, and even maybe expressing things, whatever that might look like, But obviously Kwame knows, he's been with me. I don't really like speaking about myself. I don't like doing things like that. It's I like to leave what I do for others. If someone likes it, great. If someone doesn't like it, then now I've learned it's okay for someone not to think I'm good or he's shit. Those things don't bug me anymore. I've come a long way now with that type of stuff. But I think staying grounded is most important thing to me, because once you start getting those situations and it's like you start thinking, oh, I played a good game and so saying this, I don't think any of that's good for you. And then also when you haven't played well and you're seeing what people say about you. That's also not good. So it goes both ways. So I try to stay away from that, keep myself accountable, whatever that might look like. And, just properly, self-evaluating myself and asking, again, the people close to me, my loved ones, their feedback on whatever it might be. Those are people, and obviously coaches and teammates. Those ones are the ones that are important to me, not like everyone else. So I think that helps with being grounded and not listening to not being, obviously everyone is human and it's normal, but trying to stay as grounded as possible is what I can say.
Hey man, I don't got anything else for you. You took everything that I would expect you to say and more. But for the most part, like I said, as your friend and obviously on this podcast, as Adam being a fan, like we're definitely proud of you guys and the Canadian national team and Toronto FC, what you guys have done and what you have done for yourself. People counted you out, and it's tough. Like obviously we've had conversations since the beginning of time, like how we were going to maneuver through this, and nothing has really come to how we planned it out to be. And the support, as long as the support is there from the people that actually care about you and the people that have been on this journey with you, that's all that matters. And as your best friend, like watching you play and people being like, oh, he's from Toronto, I'm like, yeah, that's my best friend, man. Like, oh, really? Like I hold that to myself, because I'm like, yo, I might be a professional athlete and professional soccer player as well, but like seeing what you're doing, and especially doing it in your home city at first, where we were both like, damn, I'm going to Forge, you're going to TFC, but like we weren't really trying to be back in our home city, because outside of soccer, we're already known people within Toronto. So we thought like, okay, we wouldn't be able to maneuver, or like we probably get distracted too much. But it's actually worked out the opposite. We've had our best years in Toronto. I had my best years at Forge, and you had your best years in Toronto, which got you to move to Nottingham, and then got me to move to St. Louis. So I mean, yeah, career trajectory doesn't really matter. We're still in this game, and I enjoy watching you play every time, even though you be snaking them penalties. But hey, it's not against me, so it's fine. it ain't against
Just wait
me.
till it is. Just wait till it is. Oh
Yeah,
my God, I can't wait.
The thing is, I will know when that leg pulling up.
You
Hey,
know,
I was
man.
like, yo.
There you go.
Eli.
And Richie, is the GOAT debate over?
The GOAT debate is over. Who's the GOAT?
Messi.
There we go.
Hey,
Hey,
that's gonna be
Elijah.
amazing content.
Elijah, why were you crying when Argentina won? You didn't want Argentina to win?
No, I'm Mbappe.
You want Mbappe? Yo,
It's tough. He scored a hat
Project
trick.
Mbappe.
Yeah, this is Project Mbappe right here.
Mbappe right there. That's what I like.
We're molding him. We're molding him.
Yeah, that's mini Chavi Simmons.
And then I'm gonna be a goat.
Yeah, yes,
There
you
we
are.
go.
That's what I'm talking about.
That is
That's
mentality.
that's a perfect way to end off, bro. Rich, thank you so much for this interview. I know it was a long time coming. I've been asking you, and obviously you're busy with the World Cup, but honestly, we really appreciate you coming on. Nothing but love as always, man. I'm gonna holler at you.
Appreciate you
Adam,
guys. Thank you guys for having me, and I'll come back anytime, man. It was a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Next time will be more
Greatly
banter.
appreciate it. Yeah.
I'm good with that.
We just had to get your whole World Cup experience first before we had the banter and all the stories that we have, because we got various stories out of them. 20 years of stories. Wow.
I'm gonna be a goat.
You're gonna be a goat.
You're gonna be the goat.
Yes, you
Oh,
are.
God.
No. I'm gonna be a shark instead.
You're gonna be who?
A shark.
A shark? No, there's no sharks, man.
All right, Rich. Holla at you, yeah?
I'll see you guys, man. Thank you.
Peace, my
You
guy.
guys.
See you, Elijah.